My name is Lena Masitsis, and I'm a podcast producer. A year and a half ago, I began working on a podcast with George St. Geegland and Gil Faison. The whole thing fell apart about halfway through when they had a falling out and abandoned the project. Also, they never paid me for any of the work I did and said it was, quote, my fault for trusting them, just like their dumb daughters. But then, a few days ago, I received a Xerox copy of a fax asking me to read the following statement. Oh, hello. It's George and Gil, your favorite guys in the world, and also New York, which is an awesome city, but not as good as it used to be because of Mayor de Blasio and the Knicks, who stink. We are in mandatory self-quarantine right now, but we think that what the world needs is a podcast from us, George and Gil, the bad boys of broadcast. It's time we finish and air this podcast. The very fact that we have content banked means we are miles ahead of the competition. Even a half-finished podcast that almost ruined our friendship is more than you dunces have out there in Nobodyville. We're gonna win the quarantine. And one last thing, you're welcome. End of statement. Oh Hello the podcast has no sponsor. Instead, we're asking listeners to donate to United Way of New York COVID-19 Community Fund. Right now, United Way is helping get food, internet access, and school supplies to New Yorkers who need it. More on what they're doing and how to donate at unitedway.org/ohhello. My name is Lena Masitsis, and I'm a podcast producer. A year and a half ago, I began working on a podcast with George St. Geegland and Gil Faison. The whole thing fell apart about halfway through when they had a falling out and abandoned the project. Also, they never paid me for any of the work I did and said it was, quote, my fault for trusting them, just like their dumb daughters. But then, a few days ago, I received a Xerox copy of a fax asking me to read the following statement. Oh, hello. It's George and Gil, your favorite guys in the world, and also New York, which is an awesome city, but not as good as it used to be because of Mayor de Blasio and the Knicks, who stink. We are in mandatory self-quarantine right now, but we think that what the world needs is a podcast from us, George and Gil, the bad boys of broadcast. It's time we finish and air this podcast. The very fact that we have content banked means we are miles ahead of the competition. Even a half-finished podcast that almost ruined our friendship is more than you dunces have out there in Nobodyville. We're gonna win the quarantine. And one last thing, you're welcome. End of statement.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Oh, hello.
It's George St. Geegland.
It's Charmed, I'm sure, Gil Faison, Ira Glass. How are you?
How are you, man?
Oh, I'm totally... How did you get this number?
Exactly.
We have something that we want to talk to you about.
And we're psyched for you, man, because you're going to really enjoy this. And you're going to say yes to it.
Okay. What is it?
Ah, one of his famous questions.
How do you like money, idiot?
I mean...
Because you are about to have everything change, even the things you like.
Ira, what do you do for a living?
I make podcasts.
Yeah. How would you like another one?
Wait, you guys are going to make a podcast?
This is Oh Hello the podcast. We all know stories. The girl crossing through the forest meets a wolf, and the wolf says that it's her grandparents, and she calls the authorities.
The other little girl's brother, and they eat a house because it's candy.
I'm George St. Geegland. I'm a very famous writer.
And I'm Gil Faison, Charmed, I'm sure, and I am George's friend.
That's very nice. Over the next 8 episodes, Gil Faison and I will ask uncomfortable questions. We'll knock on doors and then be told to use the buzzer.
By the end of this season, we will be hounded by the press. We will secure our freedom, but in securing it, have an accident that would change our lives and everyone around us.
And someone will turn themselves in. Because much like the players in this story, Gil Faison and I set out to tell a story, but some accidents happened. And accidents can change everything, especially for the people in them, especially if they're injured.
But I feel like we're getting ahead of ourselves, George.
We definitely are. Though we're alone together right now, our story really begins 2 years ago in a very crowded room, on a very crowded street. And that street?
Broadway. 4.5 months, 138 performances on The Great White Way.
A $1.7 million budget recouped.
Recouped in the final week, baby. Every night playing the picked houses, everyone crying and laughing from crying so hard.
But it's not the laughs we remember the most. It's the people that would come up to us and go, thank you. You guys are as awesome as Robin Williams and as great as Michael Jordan when he drove to the hoop. Of course you all know me. I'm George St. Geegland. Hush. I'm the type of man you would catch at a party going through the coats. I am neither Jewish nor a woman, but like many men over the age of 70, I have reached that point in life where I am somehow both.
We'd have a different guest every night, Stephen Colbert, who really lets Trump have it.
Seth Meyers.
Who,
if you're watching him lately, he's really letting Trump have it.
Yeah. David Letterman, who since his retirement has really let Trump have it.
Yeah.
He told us, boys, I don't even know why I did everything I did because you guys rock this so hard. I'm going to grow a beard so everybody forgets what I look like.
Like Lincoln would have had he lived. What a loss, Abe Lincoln. Though he was so tired. You ever seen that last photo of him where he's like, looks like that old baboon you see in the zoo who looks wise?
Well, Trent, I'm sure I'm Gil Faison. I am a Tony Award viewing actor. I look like if Steven Spielberg hadn't made any money.
Look, we'd had our share of buzz. I had appeared on C-SPAN's book notes once because I walked through the set by accident looking for a commode. So I'd been there before.
But this was, I guess, a little different for us. You know, we could have done this podcast as a TV show. We could have
done anything we wanted.
We could have done it as a feature film. But that felt impersonal. It didn't feel like...
It felt stupid.
It felt like we wanted to talk to you guys straight.
Wait, you guys are going to make a podcast?
The three of us are going to make it.
The three of us are going to do it.
Because we'd like to cut you in, and you're welcome.
What's the podcast? Like, what's the idea?
Where were you the day that Princess Diana died?
Oh, I have no idea.
Yeah.
On August 31st, 1997, I was rollerblading up 6th Avenue in very tight, light, form-fitting jeans. I had just beefed a job interview at a new tech company down in the Flatiron District. I remember rollerblading, my knees buckling, my legs trembling. I was terrible at it. I missed the four-pronged wheel roller skates of my youth with the big fat rubber stopper. These are just small details, but I remember them. Gil.
What?
Do you remember where you were on August 31st, 1997?
Yeah, I was in the hospital.
The hospital? What was wrong with you?
Nothing was wrong with me.
Is there anything else you remember?
Yeah, they served milk in little plastic cups. A guy rollerblades down the street. Another guy eats a ham and cheese sandwich in the hospital.
Meanwhile, a guy named Elton is noodling at the piano and says out loud, I hope I don't have to write any songs soon. I got 0.
Why are these stories all tied together?
Well, because it's the Princess Di stuff.
Right, that's right.
Oh, for the listener?
Yeah.
Do it formal.
Why are all these stories tied together? Why are we
Diana? Yeah. Oh, sorry, you're doing it.
Okay, no, because let me try one more time.
Absolutely.
Why are all these different stories?
Are you asking me? It's all Diana stuff.
Right. Let's start the show.
I totally appreciate you turning to me to do a podcast, but do you have something new to say about Diana? I mean, like what's the story you're going to tell? You know, like the kinds of podcasts that we do here in American Life and Serial and Discount, like they're narratives, stories with a plot.
Hey, George.
Yeah.
Today's show is sponsored by Subway Sandwiches. Do you love to eat big puffy bread with meat that's sweaty? Go to Subway Sandwiches. Sandwiches done right. Now, that's not the line. This is not an official sponsorship.
Nope.
Just trying to get a little love for Subway Sandwiches.
Story to it. Like, what's the story?
Everything about Princess Diana.
Don't you think that story's been told?
Not like we're going to do it, baby.
Not in the podcast, I don't think.
If you're trying to interest me in a series about Diana, I think that might not be... Hey, you know something? I've got a call I've got to make. So,
Who's it with?
Who's you with?
one of my coworkers here, Sarah Koenig.
Oh, we
shit.
like her more than you. Just add us to the call, Ira.
Wait, you think if you were to pitch this to Sarah, you'd do better than you would with me?
Oh, interesting. So you're saying that a woman wouldn't know anything about broadcasting?
Interesting. Because
That's
we can
really,
frame that.
we could definitely tell someone that.
Because we could go to thevillagevoice.com and sell that story right now.
We could sell that in a New York Minute, and this is a threat. Don't be an ageist.
With two men coming to you.
I'm telling you, like, this is not going to work. All right, hold on for a second. Give me a second. Let me get her on the line. Okay, so Sarah, I want you to meet Gil and George.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm George St. Geeglin, and this is Gil Faison, and you just met us. Thank you. We do the Oh Hello show.
You know, I watched it on Netflix.
You saw it on Netflix?
On Netflix.
Thank you. That means the world to us. Obviously, we've made a personal connection. You're a fan of the Netflix, and...
Well, I watched it.
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
So Sarah, I don't think this will take long. These guys want to pitch you an idea.
Oh.
Look, unlike Ira, you've really mastered the podcast space.
Oh, well...
Here's the thing, Sarah. We've got a big story we want to tell, but we want to tell it in a really intimate way.
But also in an explosive way. So, are you sitting down, literally?
I am literally sitting down. Yes, I am.
What's the biggest event of the last 25 years?
I mean, in America, I would say probably 9/11 and the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I was going to say the invention of the internet and all the social media and the way it's changed all discourse.
Sure,
right.
sure, yeah.
Let me rephrase. What do you think was the biggest event of, like, the late 90s?
The late 90s.
When did the Berlin Wall come down?
89.
89, idiot.
Okay.
I think let's just rethink the pitch.
Where were you the day that Princess
Diana died?
Oh, that's funny. Actually, I remember where I was. I was in my bed.
Wow.
Is your idea about the royals?
So you're intrigued.
There's 90s nostalgia going on right now. What's the one topic that no one's done an awesome podcast about, especially Gil and George? The answer? The death of Diana Princess.
Ira had said there was like a pitch, and so I'm just wondering what the...
Yeah, that was the whole pitch.
I'm shocked at how much we got to walk you through this stuff, guys.
Were you asking for Ira's help? Were you asking him to do it with you or me?
We're not asking. We are giving
offering you
a first look
no,
at this.
All I'm saying is that the stories that I do and that Ira tends to do, they're very narrative. There's a very distinct story.
Let us say it, I don't care.
Today's show is sponsored by Quiznos. Remember Quiznos? Grilled sandwiches, sort of, toasted?
I don't know. Was it paninis or prasadas?
Unclear, but if you're in the Cincinnati airport in 2008, go to Quiznos. Sandwiches done right.
Can I ask a question?
That's what you do best.
That's what you do best, Ira.
I think I just don't understand. Like, why is this the story that you guys want to do? Like, what's your connection to this story? Like, why does it mean anything to you?
I mean, look, the fact that I have been a royalist for the last 50 years, that I have every plate ever put out by Diana and Prince Charles, that...
Wait, a royalist means you want, like, kings and queens to run the country instead of a democracy?
He was just into the bit. He and this girl Naomi he was dating went to London once, and he just fell in love with all that crap.
Yeah, I mean, I had a magical time where I fell in love with this woman, and we went to
this woman indeed, in quotes.
Yeah, we fell in love there, and then I came back to the States, and
then you sort of snap too when you get back to the States.
George was able to provide some insight into me that she probably wasn't the right fit for me, and then.
But anyway, he had all these plates.
Really awesome plates, and we eat off them every day. And I look down at Princess Diana and I say, "This was the people's princess,"
Would it be okay? Could Ira and I just have a minute to just talk to each other about it?
Sarah, of course.
Sarah, you can have a minute and a half.
Yeah, we'll start the timer now.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're putting the phones down.
Sorry, we're back.
Time's up.
Time's up.
Not just to pin on a tuxedo.
No,
your time is
sir.
literally up.
I feel like we didn't Okay, you're back.
I mean,
so,
I think
but-
if you want to talk to us about this idea again, we'd be happy to give you a little advice here and there.
When, tomorrow?
Yeah, can we start calling you tomorrow?
You free in the morning? Because we get up at 4, confused.
I'm guessing it's going to take you guys a little bit to sort of gather your stuff together, and if you have questions along the way, we have a lot of experience between us. Ira Glass is one of the best interviewers that's ever lived.
Didn't prove it today.
Yeah.
He's had a long day. But I think
So's Craig Ferguson, but when he goes on the air, it's fun and funny.
just don't decide beforehand. Look, when we do stories here, we don't ever decide what the story is before we start doing it. You start talking to people, you start digging around, and then things open up that you hadn't expected.
After all, you're coming to us for advice, right? You're coming to us for advice.
Do you have the desire to try to produce Oh Hello, the podcast, and exert control?
Get your paws in there.
And
so this story...
A story that opened a door that never quite closed. Of royalty and humanity.
Of love.
Of loss.
With twists and turns.
About memory. About history. About herstory.
From This American Life.
And Serial Productions.
This is Oh Hello, the podcast.
The life and death of Princess Diana.
A.K.A.
Town.
An Ira Glass production.
I think we should try to find something else in addition to Diana for this to be about.
Ira, we are open to every note you want to give us except that one.
Yeah, I think you're way off there.
All right, thank you guys. We couldn't be more excited to provide you with the opportunity of working with us.
And Ira, Sarah, you're welcome.
Yeah. You're on the hook. We love you too.
On this season of Oh Hello, the podcast.
What's good for sound? Is it good to have the air conditioning or the heat on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yes.
Yeah, you
Make that beat.
We're going to first say our Creator, our God in heaven.
Let's talk to Diana herself.
We ask that you bring forth with goodness and peace Diana Spencer.
Well, my name is John Oliver.
The mother of William and Harry.
Had she lived and the car crash had never happened, would Brexit have happened? Probably no.
Guide to us so we may be able to channel out her heart.
I'm not famous for, my own merit, so it's any intention of getting a photo of me is evil. There's no good use to it.
Her wishes, her strength.
Yes.
I'm Pete Davidson.
Her unconditional love for life.
I'm just there for now. And then they were just capturing me there for now. I think eventually nobody will give a fuck. That is what I would tell Princess Diana.
We're going to reenact exactly what happened on the day the paparazzi was chasing Di and Dodie.
I do not work as a medium,
Dodie.
but I sometimes get mediumistic information.
We're going to go through the Holland Tunnel. We're going to sit in traffic for about 45 minutes.
And then the hope is get it up to 90 miles an hour. So you're not a medium, and I am no longer a medium as well. I have to wear a large.
Actually, in terms of sizing, I am basically a medium.
We've been told we're not allowed to comment on women's appearances anymore.
Okay.
What do your friends call you?
They call me Lin. My parents still call me Ling Manuel.
Where were you the day the Princess Di died?
I was in Puerto Rico.
Oh, wow.
She's saying she was misunderstood.
Let it out, let it out. Let it out. Let it out. Let it out. It's just Michael's car. Come on, let it out. Knock Michael.
Follow the clues.
Follow the clues.
What are the clues? Tell us what they are and then we'll follow them.
You know what? I think you know.
Now I'm hungry again.
You want to get a slice?
Let's get a slice.
Okay.
Today's show is sponsored by Tate's Cookies. I'm a little cookie boy. I like Tate's. Give me a cookie and
take me on a date. If they're chocolate chips, I'll be your boy. If they're macadamia nuts, I'll also be your boy.
Tate's Cookies since 1901 in Southampton, New York, making real salty crispers.
Oh Hello, the podcast has no sponsor. Instead, we're asking listeners to donate to United Way of New York COVID-19 Community Fund. Right now, United Way is helping get food, internet access, and school supplies to New Yorkers who need it. More on what they're doing and how to donate at unitedwaynyc.org/COVID-19.
Hello?
Hi, Mr. Faison.
Oh, hello. What's going on, Sarah?
I was hoping, just now that I have you alone, without George, to find out a little bit more about Naomi, I think was her name, right?
Oh, I forgot that we even brought her up.
He and this girl, Naomi, who was dating, went to London once, and he just fell in love with all that crap.
Yeah, I mean, I had a magical time where I fell in love with this woman. We went to
this woman, indeed, in quotes.
Yeah, and
in
so
quotes,
and we fell in love there. I feel like George is going to be angry with me if I talk about Naomi, but
why would he be upset?
There was a period of time where George was not allowed to leave the country, and I had won these tickets to a Moody Blues cruise. It was a Moody Blues booze cruise, and so I went on my own, and I met this woman, Naomi.
And she was a fan, or she was working, or who was she?
A fan, and so we connected over both of our loves for the Moody Blues. And we got all the way to London, and I toured her around all of the places that I'd always wanted to go, and then I came back to the States, and
then you sort of snap too when you get back to the States.
George was able to provide some insight into me that she probably wasn't the right fit for me. Obviously, I can't make any moves, without George, because we were, sharing an apartment and life insurance and his Social Security and, also a meal plan at Columbia.
I'm disturbed by how George he just really seems to be bullying you about so many different things, and you're just... you're putting up with it.
I mean, here's the thing, Sarah, that me and George always say is women come and go, but best friends are the only thing you can count on, and they should share Social Security numbers. I mean, that's the famous saying. And, I know there are times when George seems like he can be a little too dominant or pushy, but you don't know George, When I'm drawing him a bath at the end of the day and feeding him baby carrots with a big tub of, Trader Joe's hummus, there's a softness to him, and there's a kindness there that most people don't see.
No, I mean, I'm sure he loves you. I'm sure he does. I'm sorry. It's really not my place to be questioning your friendship.
Tonight's show is sponsored by V8.
Do you have a career in the morning? Drink a Bloody Mary, but without the alcohol or the big stalk of celery. V8 the drink
that people in the past drank for health. Are we recording yet?
Are we rolling? This is episode 2 of Oh Hello, the podcast, the life and death of Princess Diana, a.k.a. Die-Town. Those of you that tuned in last week will know that we had a little help, from Ira Green and Sarah Getty. We brought them in to humor them, and they ended up giving us cockeyed advice.
I thought they brought up some interesting stuff. Remember, they were talking about Naomi and that stuff.
Naomi Judd?
No, Naomi, the woman.
The little chippy you used to date, yeah. What did you call it? The Tweedledum, right?
No, I called it the...
But we're back on track. We cold called over 100 New Yorkers to see where they were the day that Princess Diana died. Their answers were pretty surprising. A lot of them were at home, some at work. You get different answers when you talk to different people. In 1997, the president, Bill Clinton, was in his office. He had silver hair and was signing papers.
The movie Titanic had come out the same year. a grand dame of the sea.
Leo dies in Titanic.
He's pretty like Diana.
So he's the Diana.
He's Diana.
And Kate Winslet, she's little Dodie Fayette.
Well, she made it out.
Yeah, she survived.
Did Dodie survive?
Oh, no, he died too.
Looking back now at that Clinton stuff, he got hosed so hard.
Yeah, because all he was doing was sexually manipulating unpaid employees.
This is the stuff I think Ira and Sarah don't understand is there's all this stuff, all of these kernels of knowledge.
Popcorn, yeah.
I think the note behind their note about...
You mean like a map behind a painting in one of those Nick Cage movies?
Exactly.
Okay.
And you can see his plugs
Yeah,
in
well,
close-up.
they're pretty good plugs.
It's a system.
It's a whole system.
I think the note behind the note was dig deeper. That's why I think we should talk to some actual professionals who work in the royal world.
Who's going to talk about Diana, not personal stuff we don't want to get into.
Later in this episode, we're going to talk to John Oliver. But first, I thought it would be good for us to go to the public library and go get some microfiche and see what was happening the day that Di died.
Hey! Ma'am, can we get 94 through 98? All of it.
I'm looking here in the microfiche, Georgie, and Madeleine Albright became the first female Secretary of State under that time.
Yeah, zoom in on that.
Yeah.
Wait a second. What is in... Is she Nancy Grace?
No, they're two different people. I found that out.
Nancy Grace gets so upset about things. If she'd been around when Princess Diana died, she would have been mad about that, too.
I bet she would have been furious.
She hates death, and she hates homicide.
She really hates when white kids go missing.
She can't stand it, because I think in some ways she was white when she was little.
John, we're taking snacks. We took some snacks. Is that all right?
Actually, no.
I ate all the almonds with the ranch flavor.
We had the pleasure of sitting down with not only a great broadcaster and a great comedian, well, a good comedian and a great host.
And this guy is really letting Trump have it right now.
He really is.
Yeah.
You know, President Cheeto. Jeez.
That's funny.
It is funny. John Oliver has risen to fame on HBO.
HBO!
Home of The Sopranos.
From box office.
And the #1 Ladies Detective Agency, a multicolored story of a detective in Africa, canceled a decade ago. Now, you're one of these I'm a good man guys, right?
I would certainly like to think I'm a good man.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
The fact that you think you are is the whole problem.
Makes you somehow the worst?
Before we get to the interview, we should give you a couple disclaimers and trigger warnings. I was carrying a gun throughout the interview.
I never knew what brandishing meant until I saw you with your weapon.
Brandishing is when you take it out of the holster just a little bit so that the person you're talking to knows that you have a firearm.
Well, my name is John Oliver. I'm British. I was born in 1977, and I'm a comedian. I'm a professional comedian.
We should warn you that he does still speak with an English accent, even though there's really no excuse for that because they have heard how we talk. I think you once said, I'm not just a comedian, I'm a truth teller. No, I'm a political truth teller.
It's very interesting you brought that up because I've never said that.
That you said, I remember you saying, people get the news from me.
From me.
No, that's not. No, you're not remembering something.
Where were you on the night that Princess Diana died?
Well, I was. Listen, I don't want to go through this again. Okay.
I think he killed her.
Who? J.O.?
I think J.O. killed PD.
I can tell you exactly where I was. I was at the Edinburgh Festival in Scotland.
Oh, were you doing a terrible one-man show?
Were you doing a new hour?
I was, yeah. And then...
Today's show is sponsored by Amazon.com.
Do you like puffy plastic packaging that you can put under your t-shirt sleeves to do Mr. T impression in the mirror? Order anything from Amazon.com.
Amazon.com, the owner of Whole Foods.
Worse food, less organic. Amazon.com, not since the East India Trading Company has anyone run afoul of God's green earth with such abandon. They tell you to mind your beeswax. Well, I guess I'll have to mind my Bezos.
What you will find is that there's a part of most British people, somewhere above zero, that thinks that she may have been murdered by the Queen herself. Now, I know that that's not true, but a part of me thinks that she did. But I don't believe that the royal family have the resources to keep something like that quiet.
So, okay, now you're backpedaling in your language. I know the Queen didn't kill her. I don't believe they have the resources.
There is no evidence that she was killed by the Queen.
What about the evidence of free associating mentally and getting there?
Well, there's actually plenty of evidence there, Limitless.
Of course, we're talking about Limitless, the Bradley Cooper film that was turned into a TV show on CBS, which is a network in the U.S., also with the show Elementary, which is a modern adaptation of the Sherlock Holmes story.
Right.
Scotland Yard, part of the British Secret Service.
And he's not going anywhere, don't worry.
But I think what you've actually done, interestingly, is shown the perils and the pitfalls of free association. In real time, you basically showed how you can start somewhere and end somewhere very different, not connected to where you began.
I notice a small level of, I would say, disdain for the royals.
Your story about when you found out that she was, quote, no more, as the British say, because they can't confront anything. Nowhere in that story do you say, then I wept because I love the royals.
Do you know what? The country did weep. Most people in Britain kind of lost their minds for about 3 days, and there was this mass grief, and you can't necessarily associate all of that with Princess Diana herself. I think it was more just people storing up everything they'd felt over the previous 3 decades and getting it out over a long weekend. I can't remember where I was through the start of September, but I definitely watched her funeral on a television somewhere.
That is incredibly vague.
But
we're all very proud of Elton John for changing the words to a song about Marilyn Monroe.
And truly only changing one line. And in a very sweet way, it was Bernie Taupin who changed it. So Elton really didn't do much.
What was it about Diana that captured the imagination of the country?
I think what people liked about her was she was certainly very glamorous. By English standards, almost otherworldly glamour. But also that she was a departure from some of the formalities of the royal family. Having a royal family is a very silly institution.
Why?
Today's show is sponsored by Babe Ruth, baby.
Look at any photo of Babe Ruth, and you'll probably think he was 40, and then you find out he was like 20. He always looked like a big round apple pie. Babe Ruth.
Never forget the greats.
They had been very reserved in the past, where she made herself open to the press. And I think there was a sense of intrigue around her, which, by all accounts, upset the royal family.
And yet, it's this openness to the press
Yes.
which made her a subject of the press.
Yes.
And perhaps suffer from depression.
No, that's the third thing you said. That's not where I thought you were going.
Oh.
By all accounts, she enjoyed reading about herself. I think she enjoyed the newfound power that she had through being able to use the press as a microphone. And
This reminds me of another blonde currently in power in the United States.
They are both from moneyed families.
That's true.
This is going to be a good list.
They are both married but divorced.
Yes. They both had 2 sons. Then one had Baron.
You know what? It's starting to get spooky.
Hold on. They both had a love affair with the media. They wanted the attention, but then at certain times they did not want the attention.
I believe he was very attracted to her as well, which...
What's your source on that? Is that true, that he was attracted to her?
Well, I believe he once boasted about trying to ask her out on a date.
Lady Di was she was supermodel beautiful.
Would you have slept with her?
Without even hesitation.
I mean, back then, he had the board game.
Getting the stakes up and running.
He was in Home Alone 2.
Did she live to see Home Alone 2? I'm not sure that.
No, that makes me the saddest of all. She did not live to see Home Alone 2.
She did not live to see those burglars do the same thing twice. John Oliver, you critique politicians. Do you think that a monarchy is ever helpful? Because when there's a tragedy, the monarch can come out and go, "We're so sorry the cruise ship exploded," and there's nothing political about it. It's just a head of state.
Of course. Now, unfortunately, then, at moments of tragedy, what you need kind of is someone who's able to recognize emotion, process it as a human being, and project it as a different emotion. And that, I'm afraid, is not this queen's skill.
But when Princess Diana died and there was the funeral procession and the carriage...
There's no need to say it like that.
The carriage is entering inside and the queen works out with her family and she bowed her head ever so slightly.
As it passed the gates of Buckingham.
As it passed through the gates of Buckingham, the Queen bowed her head.
Yeah, you're misremembering, but yeah, sorry, go on.
What a true emotional moment. What a turning point for the royal family to show that this woman, this Queen of England, this great monarch, was willing to bow her head just 3 to 4 inches maybe for her dead daughter.
I hate to defend her here, but what you got to understand is on the spectrum of the Queen's ability to emote, a 3-inch head bow, that's about as strong as it gets.
What is it about the royals that they couldn't show their humanity?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not royal by a long shot.
Have you done a family tree? Are you connected to any great English lords, ladies, queens, or kings?
I haven't done a family tree. I think I'm from peasant stock because my family's from Liverpool.
Hey, George, he's from Liverpool, and I remember, for me, the Beatles, I don't know about other people, but I thought the Beatles were awesome.
This is true about Gil. He's a Beatles fanatic. He even has the CD, #1 hits.
Yeah.
So he's got everything.
I remember, when Naomi and I went off to Strawberry Fields, which is in Central Park. We sat there and we looked up at the sky, and it was so blue, and we both had kids from previous marriages, and that maybe,
be stupid and want to control you.
Yeah, I remember George telling me that it would seem so crazy that she was in such a rush to take our time to figure out the best way to merge our families.
She wasn't right for you.
Yeah.
I mean, the Naomis and the Faisans were never going to merge. Do you think Brexit would have happened had Princess Diana lived? And I'm going to need a firm answer with a lot of follow-up.
Had she lived and the car crash had never happened, would Brexit have happened? Probably no. Because I think people...
Today's show is sponsored by plastic straws. Come on, let's be honest about these paper straws, guys. They're no good. They start to kind of crumble in the middle of your drink.
When you buy a soda at a bodega, they will Abu Ghraib that thing and black bag it with a straw inside. So never throw the bag away till you take out the straw.
Well, she died in France, so it was very much on. She never died in England.
All right, well, this has been not very helpful. I'd like to say thank you for your time, but...
Well, it's the thought that counts.
Boy, John Olive is a medium talent. It's all accent with that guy.
Next time on Oh Hello, the podcast.
We called you bluff.
Yeah.
And you told us to dig deeper into the murder of Diana F. Spencer. And so we have for you an interview.
Didn't I ask to suggest the opposite?
A friend of mine in hospice told me that Ira Glass is related to Philip Glass, so no surprise that he was repetitive and a little grating. Hey, Gil, I have a joke.
Yeah, let's hear it, Georgie.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Knock, knock.
Who's there? What would you like us to do in telling this story to right the wrongs of the history?
What would I like you to do in terms of doing justice to the life and death of Princess Diana? I guess stop. Unless you can absolutely back up a theory, in which case continue fast, almost as fast, you might say, as Princess Diana's chauffeur that night. Don't let the French journalist on mopeds of facts swerve into your way. Keep going and get to the other end of that tunnel into the light.
But what happens if we crash, Oliver? What happens then?
Then, for goodness sake, wear a fucking seatbelt.
Here's a message from Nick Kroll and John Mulaney. Oh Hello has no sponsor. Instead, we ask you to join us in donating to United Way of New York COVID-19 Community Fund. Right now, United Way is helping get food, internet access, and school supplies to New Yorkers who need it. More on what they're doing and how to donate at unitedway.org/ohhello. Dictated but not read. And now, George and Gil.
Hello from quarantine.
That's right. Here we are.
All around the world, people are not going to pizzerias, not going to concerts, not even going to sleep no more. The ultimate nude theater experience.
We're quarantined in 2 different rooms. That's why we're on 2 different computers.
Gil is on a large Dell that takes up half of a room.
And George is on a Gateway laptop with that had a cow print on the box.
The box was very funny, had a sort of a Far Side feel. I love Gary Larson. Real quick, though, I do want to address why we're in different rooms. I believe Gil is a carrier and a sufferer from the COVID-19.
That's right. George has diagnosed me as having double COVID, which is COVID-38.
This is a double whammy disease, and I figured it out. I did everything. I took his temperature, I weighed his penis, and the weight was off. I got concerned. And also, Gil is at risk on Twitter. That is his handle, at risk. The man loves the game Risk. He's also a fan of Stratego, but he has not grasped the rules.
We are in quarantine in 2 different rooms at our apartment on 74th in Amsterdam. We have not left in over a month. We contacted Lena about helping us getting the podcast up and running.
She's a great girl.
She's awesome. Lena contacted us and said, there's some holes in the podcast and we need to fill them in a little bit. So here we are. A small pitch before we get into the show. If anybody's interested in turning this Dietown podcast into a TV show like they've done with Homecoming, like they've done with Serial, that we are available to be consultants on the Dietown TV show.
We promise we will be in the room in the beginning and then slowly in the room less as we are gently nudged out by a very seasoned showrunner.
A quick pitch, Eric Roberts, if you're listening, that's who I would like to play Gil Faison Charmed, I'm sure, in the TV show.
Robbie Robertson, I know you are listening from what you told me the other day. So, Robbie, step in front of the camera. Let's see your best, George.
And we're ready to get into it, Robbie. Just like Marty Scorsese and you locked yourself into a house, covered the windows with blankets, did cocaine for a year to edit a film about the band.
To edit a film of you guys playing songs.
You play beautiful music. Let's see you play beautiful George St. Keeglin. This is episode 3
of Oh Hello, the podcast, The Life and Death of Princess Diana, a.k.a.
Dietown. How was your weekend?
Pretty good if you like food comers.
Yeah, man, I do. Yeah. I was with you the whole time.
Yeah.
I saw you sleeping.
And I also took a bunch of my daughter's kids' muscle relaxers.
Yeah, the podcast already started,
Are we doing this yet?
Yeah, we're
hey,
doing.
Can we swear on this?
Yeah, we were already rolling, man.
Can you say fuck?
Okay. We spoke to Ira, and he was really impressed by our John Oliver interview, like blown away to the point where you could feel how jealous he was.
Okay, all right, I'm ready.
We called you bluff. You told us to dig deeper into the murder of Diana F. Spencer.
No, I thought that what Sarah and I were both saying to you was just that you should go deeper about your own feeling. Why are you so interested in this story? What motivates you?
Right, exactly. And what motivates us is what's really going on with Diana. That was what was so exciting.
Right. We were thinking about what you were saying, get into our own lives, and we love names and celebrity pulls. So we went and we got one. We did the work you told us to. We did all the shoe leather. We went out there. We worked hard to get a big name to interview, just a pop culture name.
Okay, so you're going to play me some tape?
Yeah.
And we're very excited for you to hear it.
Well, my name is John Oliver.
Your ears are not deceiving you, Ira. That's John Oliver.
Yeah.
I like him.
So we dug deeper, Ira. Turns out we looked a little further into ourselves and realized we wanted to talk to a British guy named John Oliver.
We knew what you were saying is that we didn't have the juice. We didn't have names on the show. Well, checkmate.
So John Oliver in some way knew Princess Diana or has investigated the Diana murder in a way that sheds new light on the story?
He's from the United Kingdom, Ira. He lived through the literally lived through the lurch of Diana.
So you're saying his connection and his special insight to the murder is literally he was in the same country when it happened.
Well, sort of. He was, and by the way, you did just proclaim it was a murder.
Diana's death.
Homicide. Say, if you want to be neutral, say homicide.
This week Diana's on death. Walking It Back with Ira Glass.
Yeah.
So the thing... His special insight is just that he was in the country when she died?
Why don't you do what Marilyn Manson said in Bowling for Columbine he would have done if he spoke to the parents, and that's listen.
No, I know that the Queen didn't have her killed, but...
So how's he getting that information is what I want to know.
Ira, as a journalist, what do you have to go off besides your gut?
Well, usually we don't go off our gut, actually. Usually we go and talk to people and try to figure out the actual fact.
And that's what we've done in this case. We've gone and talked to somebody. We went with our gut and we did exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, we talked to
a British guy.
This guy was in Scotland when Princess Diana was murdered. Your words.
In Paris, by the French police, our theory, at the behest of the Queen.
John Oliver's theory.
Right, but he's saying that she wasn't murdered by the Queen.
When someone says, I know for a fact she was not involved, what does that tell you, Ira?
It sounds like they know for a fact she was not involved.
But if you know for a fact someone is not involved, that means that you might know who was involved.
Does John Oliver know who was involved?
Today's podcast is sponsored by baseball. You want to sit around bored for 3 to 7 hours watching a bunch of people on a field so far away you can't make out anything that's happening? Enjoy a $36 hot dog and a $15 beer with your son who hates the sun.
Your son can't even be exposed to the sun before 3 p.m. per your wife's wishes, so he is wearing a woman's hat until the sun goes behind the horizon. MLB baseball, the Toyota Camry of sports.
I actually spoke to Sarah separately. I thought maybe that she had some points about, what could be interesting as a story.
Well, we were all on the call. I was on the call when you spoke to Sarah.
No, she called me later. We talked later on the phone.
What? Hey, Glass, can I steal you for like 45 minutes, a half hour? Hour and a half, 45 minutes?
Seriously?
Just let me steal you for just a second, just 45 minutes. I just want to talk to you. Hey, Gil.
Yeah, George?
You want to get our helmets?
All right.
Yeah, but okay. All right, he's gone. I just want to talk to you.
Sure.
So you run the show and then you report to Sarah?
No. Sarah sort of is on her show and I'm on my show, and that's that.
Oh. So she hired you. I don't know the chronology. She hired you.
She was originally a producer on This American Life, and then she was headed out with our then senior producer, Julie Snyder, to create Serial.
So were you her boss at one point?
I was, for a long time.
Oh, that's weird. That's not how she tells it.
That's not how she tells it?
Well, she was saying that she started to do Serial, which was a hit, and you worked for her and asked for sort of like a sideshow, and that's what This American Life became.
Sarah said that?
So she was doing the press. That's what I wondered, because I remember stories were like, this is a show from Sarah, Koenig. But I don't recall your name being bandied about with it, which sucks. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. That sucks.
Are you saying, like, in some way she's, like, moving on?
Well, I just feel like if I gave someone their start, if someone came to me, like, with jack shit, I mean, nothing, and I gave them a home, I gave them shelter from the storm, I gave them my money, and more importantly, I gave them time. I guess most importantly, money, and second would be time.
What I feel like you're trying to like.
I'm trying to undermine her.
You're trying to.
I'm trying to get you against her, because she's against me.
She's against you,
for sure.
Oh, come on, Sarah's against you.
I sense that.
Today's show is sponsored by people eating. Hey, do you guys mind if we eat popcorn while we're doing the podcast? That's good popcorn. Today's show is sponsored by getting a kernel of popcorn stuck in the back of your throat. You're going to try to itch it out, use your nail to scrape out that weird dome of a kernel on the inside of your throat?
3 out of 20 dentists will tell you don't. Let it adhere to the tooth and become its own bonding.
You just heard Ira Green do a total fail vibes, epic fail. Jealous and stupid. He tried to be part of the podcast, but was just a total klutz.
A schmuck, a putz, a nobody, and a friend of the cast.
Gil and I left Ira's office that day. We smoked a Marlboro 100 in the elevator, put it out in the lobby. Doorman looked at us. We got to talking when we were on the street in the Flatiron district, and we realized that Ira was never going to be our buddy because he was jealous. He does This American Alive. He can only talk to people. We could talk to celebrities. And more than that, we could talk to the dead, or at least a psychic in the East Village. And at least she could talk to the dead, or at least look at photographs of them and interpret their feelings.
I have a podcast of my own now, and it's mostly interviewing people who are parapsychologists, but I don't do claimants. Do you know what I mean by claimants?
No, what's a claimant?
A claimant is somebody who says they can change your life if you'll just give them $1,000
Oh,
or something.
yeah, like that woman on Hudson that I gave $1,000 to.
Oh, boy. My podcast is called Shattered Reality Podcast.
How did you get the podcast off the ground? Because we know exactly what we're doing.
Yo, no, good idea. Be confident.
We know exactly what we're doing, but
what
how
we're
did you
doing.
get the podcast off the ground? And how did you figure?
You need an audio engineer. I have a fabulous audio engineer.
Did you hear that, Lena? That's what we want. Okay, we want
Yeah.
we
Why don't
want
we
the
do this?
levels good.
Why don't we do this? Because Lena's in the room. We'll talk to you later about who you use, and we might fire someone.
Lena she has a very lovely violet aura, and I think that she's probably somewhat psychic herself.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
That's nice because she's not been so psychic so far, and
She's really misguessed just how many sugars Gil needs in his coffee every day.
Okay.
we are here in the East Village, the home of punk rock. Tell us about where we are, the space we are in.
You are in the reading room of Farusha, and I am Farusha, and this is my sort of pink room. It's a pink violet.
Now tell us exactly, Farusha, what is it that you do exactly? Even though we already did the research, but we were told we got to ask these questions when we do podcasts so that people understand what's happening.
So basically people come, I do a meditation on them before they come and see if I get any vibes, any direct information. I answer their questions and I read their photographs. Now, you all were interested in mediumship. Well, I do not work as a medium, but I sometimes get mediumistic information.
Interesting.
So you pick up mediumistic messages at times. It's like it's like how we for years were trying to pick up Channel J to get the Robin Bird show on television. It's not a channel that we got. We were trying to get cable for free.
We used a baby monitor and about a yard of tinfoil to try to pick up Robin Bird's show. So you're not a medium, and I am no longer a medium as well. I used to be a true medium at Joseph A. Bank, and now I have to wear a large. Or a slim fit large, which is still a large.
Actually, in terms of sizing, I am basically a medium.
Oh, okay.
We've been told we're not allowed to comment on women's appearances anymore.
Okay. Did you want me to tell you also about what I saw in my download after I spoke with you on the phone?
I very much do. What I also want is to figure out how to make the heater sound behind you to go away.
Yeah, twist it. If don't burn your hand. After Lena requested that I might be on your podcast, I started to like meditate a little bit on the lovely Princess Di and what she might be thinking now if she were thinking something. And it sort of came to me as a download that her most fervent wish, and this is assuming that I am actually contacting her and not a discarnate entity, or a Dybbuk. I doubt it would be a Dybbuk though, that she was extraordinarily pleased with her sons and their marriages, particularly the Kate Middleton situation with the beautiful woman and the beautiful children. Very, very proud of both of her sons. And her most fervent wish is that Charles gets skipped for the monarchy.
One last, pardon my French, fuck you to that big-eared nobody.
Well,
that's wonderful.
In terms of the Queen Elizabeth, is that she wants the monarchy to perpetuate, not to die out.
Yeah.
And in order for it to perpetuate, she also has that vision, perhaps that Prince William it is, right? Yes, okay. See, I'm very bad with these royal names. I'm so sorry. That he would assume the role of the monarch.
That's fair. So this first photo that we're looking at it's Princess Diana, and she's dancing with none other than John Travolta.
The wickedly talented John Travolta.
What do I get from this photo? Well, I get that she is dazzled a little bit by him. He is very happy to see her, but I don't get any incredible emotional response here, but she's a little dazzled by him and hoping to make a nice turn on the dance floor, just hoping not to trip over her black velvet dress or anything.
Interesting.
Do you see his face? He seems genuinely charmed.
He really does.
And he has no sideburns there at all.
No, he's shaved his sideburns
shaved it
all the way to the top.
Yeah.
Bizarre.
He went to supercuts.
Is there any sexual vibe between them?
No.
The next photo was rather sad. It showed Prince Charles of England and his wife, Princess Diana, the very subject of this podcast. They're wearing red poppies, and they're looking away from each other.
They both look deeply unhappy. It's very possible the photo was just taken at a moment where they were looking in two different directions, but we can read into it.
I would say that this is a photo of a couple on the outs.
Prince Charles is in a suit. She's in a very lovely...
looks like a blue suit, too.
Light blue suit. They both have red poppies.
It must be Armistice Day, so they might be in France
not a day to honor. It's not a day to honor Fred Armisen.
No, that's Armisen's Day.
Is there such a thing?
In Long Island, on the street where he grew up. Everyone takes their trash cans off the street. It's a nice thing.
So it's Armistice Day.
Yes. And it appears to be as some form of a ceremony that they were attending. They're not looking at one another. They're looking askance. She seems quite unhappy and probably... And it might just be the angle of photograph, the heaviest I've seen her in any photograph. Weight-wise, I'm just saying. I mean, that makes no difference to me. I'm not a skinny mini myself, but she usually seems quite slender, and she seems to be a little chunkier here, and he's looking off in the distance at something, God only knows what.
She's not looking slender. But I know that it's part and parcel oftentimes when people are not feeling good about themselves or the situation, they put on weight. I don't know, George, if you remember, there was that 5 years where I was a little depressed and I put on 400 pounds.
Yes, he did. He was bedbound.
Honestly, the only thing that got me through was this guy right here.
Yep, because every day I would try to get a picture of him in the Daily News or the Post and, the beached whale on 73rd. It's just something funny, saying to make fun of him. And
did you carry him out with a winch out the window?
We had a plan. We couldn't get a forklift to get him out of the window. I was going to get a bunch of belts around him, and then if there was a fire, I'd take the elevator, and then I'd pull him to the stairs, and I'd roll him down the stairs.
Farusha wasn't that surprised by the photo we uncovered next. It's been seen by billions of people all over Earth, because it's the wedding photo of Diana and Prince Charles.
Since I'm in the other room, I have no memory of this photo, but I bet she's wearing a wedding dress.
She is, and it's white, in quotes.
No, that's beautiful. That's just a beautiful, beautiful picture of Princess Di in her wedding gown. And she is a blushing bride, and she can't believe what's happening to her, that she's been sort of elevated to this position, and she's quite overwhelmed and excited and happy in this picture. It's quite a lovely picture.
It's probably how she felt on her wedding day, I that's how every time I get married, that's how I feel. I feel overwhelmed, and I'm scared, but I love love.
How many times has it been now?
I've been married 3 times. Unlucky in love, we like to say. 3 times.
Unlucky or lucky? I think it's lucky if somebody married you.
Sure.
He gets dumped pretty hard, though. I mean, I'd say it's unlucky, because there's a lot of mean-spirited but accurate things said when they move out. And I don't blame you. I side with the women in this, but, Gil's my boy, so I roll with him.
Yeah, well, we have to stand up for our friends.
Yes, unless it's beneficial to not.
Now, her wedding dress looks like a cake. Is that on purpose? Is that to appetize us? What is that about?
Frankly, I think it's a kind of an extreme style. It wouldn't be my choice, but she carries it off well.
It's sort of like the extreme styles that you'll make me wear.
Oh, sure.
Like
yeah.
the puffy shirt story in Seinfeld?
No, more like leather balls in my mouth and sent to the Mandarin Oriental to deal with foreign men.
There was a period of time to make ends meet, and you're looking very shocked, but it's a perfectly ordinary financial arrangement. He is an escort and a conversationalist. That's what we write in the ad. And he goes to these hotels with men from Dubai or China, wherever. But it's Dubai and China. They rent them for the hour. They do whatever they want. My cut is significant. It's 90-10, 90 to me. And he complains about the gear he's got to wear. But that's how you pay the rent. This is New York,
It's a city that never sleeps.
This is truly the city.
This is truly shocking information.
Mm-hmm. Today's show is sponsored by John from Cincinnati. What was that show about? A guy who liked to surf?
His feet floated off the surfboard in the poster. John from Cincinnati, the perfect replacement for The Sopranos.
You don't believe that the monarchy Queen Elizabeth was responsible for the death of Princess Diana?
I don't think so.
I do. So what about you?
Am I the tiebreaker?
Yeah.
I think it was the Queen Mother.
Okay, so now we got nothing.
She was quite elderly at the time.
She was so old. I used to double over laughing when I'd see her. She was like a million.
We were pretty shaken leaving Ferocious. She'd uncovered a lot of truths that the royal family would like to keep hidden. Truths about the Queen Mother. The ultimate old bag. Next week is episode 4. Another episode that is great, fun, interesting, funny.
Fun, flirty, and ferocious. But no Ferruccia. Well, maybe there will be, depending on how much content we have banked.
If you love Oh Hello, the podcast, the life and times of Princess Diana, a.k.a.
Dietown,
there's something you can do. If you want to support us at Oh Hello, the podcast, the life and times of Princess Diana, a.k.a. Dietown, we need your help. We must be higher in the Apple Podcast rankings. I'm so pissed off right now.
For some reason, we're judging our own personal value on where we stand on the Apple Podcast Top 20 list, so...
Let me tell you some of the shows ahead of us right now. The Daily, Michael Snorborough's.
Joe Rogan, who do we have to endorse to get higher up in this? What are we going to do?
You think I haven't fought someone in a cage? I have.
You don't think George has made me fight someone and other animals in a cage? Please.
Then there's Fig Doctor's Real Friends. Uh-oh, they played doctors 2 decades ago, and now they're doing podcasts. Yeah, not exactly uncovering who murdered Princess Di, you dorks.
Can you imagine 2 guys trying to play off a show they once had to put out a podcast during the quarantine?
And what kind of name is Faison? Donald Faison. Get a real name, like, George St. Geegland or Gil Faison.
I'm sure.
Ben Shapiro. I mean,
I really like a lot of the things he says,
He makes a lot of good points.
There's nothing cooler than a Fox News Jew. I love the Fox News Jews.
In another string of very cool, self-hating contrarian Jews, Ben Shapiro Show, brought to you by the Daily Wire. Ben Shapiro. Like Dershowitz, or the guy that defended John Mignonic, Ben Shapiro is podcasting.
Oh, there's a woman who claims that she makes love to ghosts. Really? It's recently been on the internet.
Are there videos of this?
I don't know. I really wasn't all that much interested. But I've heard other people say that they have, incubi and succubi come around.
Well, Gil used to get hickeys from a Dybbuk until we got a minion together. But he'd wake up with these splotches on his neck. I go, what happened? You get lucky? He goes, no, there's a Dybbuk in here.
Yeah. And then we got a golem, and the golem, I mean, I would like to say help, but they just ended up, double teaming me.
No, and this minion, we had to get together 10 Jewish men who believed in Dybbuks, and that was remarkably easy in New York.
Honestly, we went to B&H Photo.
Yeah.
And we got all the guys over there to do it.
We yelled minion, and 30 people showed up, so then we had to do auditions.
But the problem was, it ended up being right outside of a screening of Despicable Me. And so we got caught up with which minion we were trying to get to. And anyway,
these kids were saying, where are the minions? And I said, no, there's no minions. 10 men are going to help get rid of a Dybbuk that's assaulting my friend. And the kids were upset, and I was upset.
But
as long as it wasn't a tulpa.
No, it was absolutely not.
Here's a message from Nick Kroll and John Mulaney. Oh Hello has no sponsor, Instead, we ask you to join us in donating to United Way of New York COVID-19 Community Fund. Right now, United Way is helping get food, internet access, and school supplies to New Yorkers who need it. More on what they're doing and how to donate at unitedway.org/ohhello. And now, George and Gil.
Okay, what's up, oh hello meacs?
What's up, oh hello yet? What's up, oh hello?
What's up, oh hello fans? What's up, fans of the podcast? What's up, oh halloumis? What's up, halloumi cheese addicts? What's up, people who like squeak cheese?
What's up, squeaky cheese? What's up, tuna heads? What's up?
What's up to everyone that loves George and Gil? What's up to the Gil fishes? What's up to fish with gills? What's up to fish who have frowns? What's up with those fish who have frowns?
What's up with the band Fish? What's up to Trey Anastasio?
What's up to Trey Anastasio making music from his home in Vermont?
And what's up to Vermont? What's up to the Bernie Bros? What's up to all the folks out there who are still supporting Bernie?
What's up to men who like Fiona Apple aggressively? Don't care for that. Don't need that.
What's up, oh Huxters? What's up, oh Huxtables?
What's up to the Huxtables? What's up to the writers of the show, suffering because their main man, Dr. Kaz, is in jail, but the writers are not to blame?
We are G&G, still stuck in quarantine over here, up west side, the ghost town that we call New York City.
Definitely. Pretty weird out in New York right now. Gil and I went through Times Square recently in a rickshaw that we own. So, wasn't making anyone pull us. Gil did the pulling, Gil was the dog.
George was in a red wagon with a yellowed pillow that he sat on so as not to disrupt his tushy. And I was harnessed by the mouth.
Thanks to Walgreens and Dwayne Reed by Walgreens for their inflatable pillows. A great cushion, great for anal fissures. By the way, Times Square looking right now like The Walking Dead. So, paging The Walking Dead.
That's a very funny observation, George.
I mean, I really was like, this is fucking ridiculous. This looks like Zombie Town. I wanted to.
You said
I almost wanted to think. It almost made me think about the zombie books. Ugh, let me do that again. I don't want to do it. Just air what I had.
Here we are now.
And unless you've been living in a hole,
like Saddam Hussein,
whose execution is on YouTube, and it is pretty thrilling to watch because he's literally daring them to hang him, a maniac to the end.
It's like when we get caught stealing stuff from the bodega, and it's like, all right, well, you got tape. What are you going to do about it?
I go, come on, do it. Go ahead. I dare you. His last words were totally hostile. It's in keeping with my main man. He fired a gun into the air once. I saw the footage. Unless you've been living like old Saddam, though, you've heard of our guest today, comedian Pete Davidson.
Young Pete Davidson, one of the hot stars from Saturday Night Live, which hasn't been good since the 70s, we like to say all the time.
The best season was 80. Godfrey, Charles Rocket.
The Domanion years, when she took over, the show just really took off. But Pete's one of the big stars over there, and, we know him back from our open mic days in New York when he was about 17, we were about 71, and we met him doing the open mic circuit.
Gil and I had a two-man act back then where we would do a parody of the song 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover.
50 Dates to Marry Your Brother. Nobody got the 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover reference, and almost nobody got 50 First Dates, Adam Sandler reference. Nobody got any of it. People thought we were an alt act that was bad on purpose. That was not what we were trying to do.
And then we adapted it into an act called 50 Ways to Call Your Mother, and then it was just...
It didn't play that well, but Pete Davidson, 17 years old at the time, would get on stage and, the kid had chops. He was doing quite
well. This was when he was 17, he was kind of young and shiny. And, now he's been around the block. He's 25, and he's an international superstar. But we had our beef with Pete. We had Pete beef. I think, he wasn't watching our sets. And I remember I got off stage once and I said, what'd you think of 50 Ways to Call Your Mother, the 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover parody? And he sort of said, oh, cool, man, I don't know. And I really lit into him. I was smoking a Marlboro 100. And I just excoriated him and called him all sorts of names. Shoved him, and then when he shoved me, people, obviously protected me because I looked pretty infirmed and shaky.
And from that point on, we really didn't like him, and within the year he was on Good Code at MTV, which we auditioned for and they said, you guys are too old, you're scary, you're looking at the assistants weird, you have no take on any of these jokes, everything that you're claiming is improvised is clearly written, you keep looking straight at the camera, then you look off, you're horrible at this, you keep calling it VH1, you don't know what MTV is, you have open sores, you have no understanding of pop culture, and they had a couple other notes that felt unfair.
Let's get to the interview with Pete D. No one knows more about Princess Diana than Pete Davidson. Maybe it's because they both have the same initials. PD, Princess Diana, and PD, Pete Davidson.
And ED, something that both George and I suffer from to the end of our days. Today's show is sponsored by Roman. Those are the pills that you can quietly get your ED medication without anybody knowing the wiser. Probably the most selling thing on the internet is Roman. Somehow pitched by a young man, making you think, does the young man take the erectile dysfunction medication or not? It doesn't matter. Keep your shame inside with Roman ED meds.
Why don't you do this, Peter? Tell us any facts that you know about Princess Diana.
She was a princess.
Great start.
Her name was Diana, and you told me she died in 97.
That's right.
That's right.
That is all I know.
Keep going though.
I didn't know what it was until you told me about it. And I know that sounds really ignorant, and it is, but like I was 4.
Some might argue there are much more important things that you probably don't know about.
Right.
Why don't you imagine some things about Princess Diana based on, a photo you've seen maybe, or just the name?
I haven't seen a photo, but I'm imagining...
You haven't seen a photo? Okay.
No. You told me not to look up anything.
I know, but okay, but the fact that you've been alive and not seen a photo of Princess Diana, but we're going to move past that real fast.
Yeah, so I'm picturing, a gal in a dress with like a tiara. And
so far, on, baby.
And maybe like some gloves that go down to like the elbow, and like a lot of waving is
right.
Sure.
And then since you told me she's dead, I'm then picturing her dead.
So you did not know Princess Diana had been a person who died till we invited you on the pod?
Yes.
Do you know who Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are?
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
Do you know how Prince Harry's connected to Princess Diana?
Is it his son?
That's absolutely correct.
Oh, that's awesome.
Is there another son? Are you aware of another son?
The other one that's like slightly less attractive than the other
exactly
one.
Right?
Prince William.
Prince William,
yeah. But he's like really sweet and deserves more.
That's an interesting take and a fair one.
Deserves more.
Yeah.
Now, do you think he's less attractive or is it just that he's lost his hair?
Well, I just think he forgot his brother was like, I'm going to get on Propecia. And he was like, no, it's going to fuck up your dick.
Right.
And then, he won that battle.
Right. Harry won that big time.
Yeah, he won that big time. Yeah, that's the difference between, a bald guy and a not bald guy is like one guy's like, I don't want it to fuck up my dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a direct quote from Prince William.
Some of the great bald people, Mahatma Gandhi, Winston Churchill, they refused Propecia because
and you know what? Till the day they died, they shot ropes.
Yeah. I bet Harry came in and he pointed to his red hair and he goes, look at this Brillo pad, still thick as hell. Plus, I'm hard as a rock and shooting ropes into the girl from Deal or No Deal. And William was like, oh, fuck. Oh, no, I blew it.
Today's episode is brought to you by those PBS things where the Temptations reunite and sing oldie songs for very old people watching. Are those the real Temptations? Several of them look below the age of 30. 2 of them look 90. Is this a new supergroup, or are those the original Temptations? You'll find out during the station break when they try to sell you a DVD of the Temptations concert that you're watching. Motown reunion concerts on PBS. Some of the people are dead, some of them are their children.
What about other English people that you've met?
Other English people?
Who's some English people?
I have my buddy Doug is from London.
That is in England.
Yeah, he's really cool.
Yeah.
You've worked with Claire Foy.
Yes, she is from England. Or London?
He asked.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
What's the difference between London and England?
I don't know. I feel like it's the same.
It is.
Pete, as an American, as a real American guy, I mean, you're a Staten Island born and raised.
And again, we're sorry.
What do you think about the royalty of monarchy? What do you think about that?
I think it's cool. It's cool to have different stuff.
Interesting. Can you
It's very
put?
true.
Doesn't affect me.
And just as we manipulate whatever you've said,
Right.
just put what our question in the. Can you do that for us? Can you do that for me?
What was the question?
I forgot the question.
I
too.
forgot the
How do you
fucking
feel
question.
about the royalty?
The royalty is dope.
What? Say this. How do I feel about the royalty? The royalty is dope.
How do I feel about the royalty? The royalty is dope.
Whoa, interesting.
Wow, that's a take. That's a take.
Today's episode is brought to you by a random memory where you found out that Kathy Ireland was pro-life. Do you recall getting that newsletter in school when you found out that Kathy Ireland, supermodel de jour, was pro-life?
Let's not forget that Kathy Ireland, somehow one of the biggest designers for Kmart and Walmart, pro-life, but also pro-business. Who knew Kathy Ireland had it all together?
One of the whitest goddamn Goyish women to ever walk a runway, Kathy Ireland, very pro-life. Give us a call, Kathy.
Famously, Elton John sang a song about Princess Diana. And when she passed away.
He sang it at the
Is that Diana? Diana.
Yes, it is. Keep going, though. How do you think it goes?
Diana. Is that Roxanne? Or are they all the same?
I think, in a way, I think you're singing Roxanne but adding Diana. But also, that's a beautiful song.
Diana.
You don't have to get in that car tonight. The paparazzi will chase you till you crash and die. You don't have to do that, Diana. All right.
Is that the song?
But there's another song, I believe it might be Hall & Oates. Diana.
Right? Like, I'm not insane. That's
No one thought you were insane. We just thought you were wildly confused.
Yeah. Okay.
But, of course, that is Elton John.
Okay.
What have you ever met Elton John?
No. But he's in a really great commercial that made me cry.
Yeah.
Which commercial?
This thing where he starts as Elton John now and then goes to slightly younger Elton John and then another younger Elton John and then he's like a kid opening a piano and it's just like
yeah, there's something emotional about that.
Yeah.
Isn't there?
When you find out that someone was once a kid, you really, really get it.
So Pete, what other podcasts you been on, man?
I don't really do podcasts.
You don't do podcasts?
No, I enjoy listening to them.
What's your favorite podcast to listen to? What are you listening to these days?
I like How Did This Get Made?
Shout out to Bashir, Jason Circus, Jimmy Fan.
Yeah.
Oh, that's where they watch those
They
movies.
watch your movie. Have you ever done it?
I did it once.
What movie did you do, man?
The Shadow.
All right.
The Shadow.
That movie fucking sucked, right?
Oh, that's
Is that what you
great.
said? You do stuff like that? You go,
Yeah.
This movie sucked.
I've submitted an audition tape to them several times.
Never.
Where I just go, I can you believe this movie?
Yeah.
I mean, I wish these people pain and disaster. I fucking hate this cast.
For the listeners out there, George was pretending to hold the microphone while he said that.
Yeah, I was.
So you listen to How This Get Made. What about, do you listen to, what other podcasts?
Once in a while, Mark Maron.
WTF.
WTF.
What the fuck?
What the fuck?
Bill Burr has a great podcast.
He's got a great podcast.
Yeah.
What do you think the secret to a good podcast is?
I don't know. I guess just being interesting.
Being interesting?
Yeah, I think you guys are fine.
Well, what if they're uninteresting and they're like 2.5 hours?
I just don't listen to them.
What about, you listen to Ira Glass? You know who Ira Glass is?
No.
That's fine, by the way.
Yeah, you listen to This American Life ever?
Is that the one where they caught that case?
Yeah. Princess Diana was hounded by the paparazzi.
Right.
To the point that she had to speed away and she crashed into a tunnel.
Yeah.
Not trying to scare you, my boy.
Right.
But
that part's true?
That part is
Oh,
true.
that's
She was
right,
getting
that's
chased
true.
by paparazzi?
Yes.
Yeah, and the limo driver went so fast that he crashed into a tunnel in Paris. And
I bet the limo driver lived.
No.
He died big time.
He died big time. And then the autopsy turned out that he was on antipsychotics and that he had been drinking.
Oh, man, that's fucking...
It's a bummer, right?
Yeah, but they couldn't book him down at Central because he was dead. Yeah.
Right.
Dead as a doorknob.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thanks for sharing all this awful information.
Yeah, no problem.
I don't know the
But
people.
no, as someone who has been chased by the paparazzi, as someone
Someone
has
who's dealt with the paparazzi.
who's dealt with it, can you put us in the mind of what that feels like for someone, as Diana was truly, literally the most photographed woman in the world.
Right.
How did the paparazzi work? How do they get you to turn? Do they have tactics to get you to turn around?
They antagonize you.
And George is going to be eating Tate's
Yeah,
cookies
while you
this
talk
happens.
about this,
I would love
Sensen,
one.
have a Tate and talk
cool.
about
I'm gonna
talk
also,
about
like,
your pain and have a
open
Tate.
Crinkle it,
Crinkle
do
it right
it.
next to the mic.
To eat,
Yeah.
do whatever you want. To eat while being interviewed is a power play.
Yeah.
It truly is.
So, again, this is, probably sensitive for you, but let's all eat Tates and talk about it.
Yeah.
How did the paparazzi get your attention? How do they neg you?
They say really awful things, or they'll just say like little shit that you would want to clear up or respond to. They'll be like, "Yo, like I heard like the wedding's like tomorrow," and you.
Oh, then you turn around and go.
No.
You go, ooh, is it?
Yeah, it's just like
anything to get you, anything to engage you,
anything to piss the person off. They're really scum.
Are they trying to piss you off or just get you to turn around and make a scary face?
Both, but they love pissing. I mean, their goal, I think, is for you to hit them so that they make a bunch of money.
They have the footage, and then they can, and then on top of that, they can sue you.
Yeah, I mean, like
you can
like
get
Alec,
sued.
like Alec Baldwin, just like there's like 10 fucking videos of this dude beating up a paparazzi, so that's like the way they make money.
That's how they make money. It's not through the selling of the photos, but by getting punched by Alec Baldwin and then suing Alec Baldwin.
Two birds, one Baldwin.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, he's a young guy. I understand that he hasn't, figured it out yet.
Figured out his rage issues.
Yeah.
So, but what's it like? You work outside, whatever, you work outside, and what does it feel like to have the flashing bulbs on you? What is it? What's
embarrassing? It's awful, and it's really I get why they were speeding away.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
But
are there secrets to avoiding it and evading
I'm
it?
fucking lit all the time, so like it just feels like a video game to me.
That's very cool.
So I just pretend it's like a a video
You think
game.
Diana was smoking chronic? You think she was burning big blunts?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so.
I don't mean to focus on this, but you do have an insight into what it was like for Diana, in a way that
No, for real.
very few people, and I know you're not making this connection.
We are, and we booked you for fun, but it turns out there's a connection. How would your life be better if the paparazzi didn't do this to you?
Well, I'd just be able to go outside.
That's interesting because you are sunlight deficient.
Mm-hmm. I would love to go outside and be able to like go out with my friends and like eat and not be bothered.
And
Are you bothered at restaurants?
Yeah.
They would even bother you at a restaurant?
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
You know who Dodi El Fayed is?
No.
He was the son of the guy that owns Harrods, Mohammed Al Fayed.
You know what Harrods is?
Department store in London? Surely you know that.
No.
He was sort of an Aristotle Onassis of his time. Do you know Aristotle?
Some maniac rapper that you have some bizarre texting relationship with wants to go to Harrods.
Harrods, like the hotel club bar?
Yes, they do. Yes.
Yes. So, but before you were wildly famous, and you could just hang out and
yeah. Once in a while, someone would be like, "Hey, do you do stuff?" And I'll be like, "Yeah." They'd be like, "Cool."
And what was a day in a life like then?
It was. I took it definitely for granted. That's for sure.
Interesting.
That's a very sweet perspective.
Yeah.
What would you do? You'd wake up?
I'd like walk down the street
of Staten Island?
Yeah, anywhere. And like I'd be able to listen to headphones. The thing that really sucks is listening to headphones and like walking and people tapping you and you don't know they're behind you and then I go like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And they're like, "Oh." Yeah. So that kind of sucks.
And so you
used to be able to wear headphones.
I used to be able to wear headphones.
And
Yeah.
you walk around listening to what?
Yeah, the hip hop.
Diana, Diana.
Gang.
Gang, 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 gang. Ding-a-doodle-deedle-doy.
Today's episode is brought to you by listening to the Succession theme song in the shower and pretending you're on the show.
Today's show is sponsored by the kids in the video of the Succession theme song. Are those the actual kids? Is it just the concept of wealthy people? What's happening in the intro to the show Succession?
Never before has a movie played such a large role in an HBO intro. Are those the Roys growing up, or are they random rich people? The home movie's in the beginning of Succession theme song. Are you one of the Roys? Which one?
My favorite thing about SNL is the intros.
The montage, yeah.
The montage, which is...
It looks like a barbecue that, like 9 people were invited to.
Right, it's like, we want you to look cool, because that's never what the show is about. But we want you to look cool in the montage.
Oh, I had no idea that person could sit at an oyster bar and then look up.
Yeah. So, are you a conspiracy guy?
No, but I think they're entertaining.
Yeah.
The only reason why I'm not, like, I feel like I would be if, like, the 9/11 thing didn't happen. But, like, I've had people come to me and be like, it didn't happen, right? And I'm like, but...
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it did.
Those are really cool people. I mean, those people mean well.
Yeah. I've had people say that to me. And
because you lost your father in 9/11.
Right.
So that's why they want to talk to you.
Yeah.
So you can understand their side of it.
Yeah, can you? Yeah. I mean, what? So people, why would people come up to you specifically? What do you think it is?
It's just fucking dumb, and I think some people want to start a conversation and are awkward and don't know how to.
Right.
And then some people are just fucking jerk offs.
Right. So, I get it. Some people are shy and, they don't know conversation starters. So they might walk up to someone and go, I heard about your father. I want you to know that never happened.
Right.
Right.
Not the best,
it's okay.
Have you ever made a poor first impression?
I have.
Yeah.
I was once crawling under the stalls at a ladies' bathroom at Lucille Roberts' gym, and they said, "Get out of here! Oh my God, get out of here!" And I had a Roomba on my back, so I could really just slide around the bathroom floor. And I remember thinking, "You didn't put your best foot forward there." But I have a series of conversation starters that I try when I go up to people.
Do you think it was a coincidence? Maybe they didn't know. Then that's the way they start conversations.
It's quite possible.
9/11 didn't happen.
Hi, I'm Dave.
That's quite a conspiracy that it didn't happen. I've heard that, different things happen in different ways. I've never heard that it did not happen. That's a ballsy conspiracy theory.
Yeah,
So,
I've had people be like, there was a flash before the plane.
Today's show is sponsored by refrigerator magnets. Do you want a cheap memory of a vacation that you hated? Get yourself a refrigerator magnet, put it on the wall, and then watch it slip off every day, picking it up and hurting your back to keep that refrigerator magnet glued to the fridge.
What I'd like to try is an exercise where we role play as paparazzi.
You be Princess Diana, we'll be paparazzi.
But you can talk like Pete.
Okay.
But here's what I want to see is could a human interaction diffuse the paparazziness? Okay, so you just tell us how hard it is for you in your own words, and try to reason with us, and let's see what happens.
Hey, give me one picture.
Hi guys.
Hey tall man. Tall man.
Hey, I'm really sad.
You're in the news sometimes.
Hey, I'm a sad person. Can you leave me alone, please?
What's that?
I just would really appreciate it if you left me alone today, if that's okay.
We were just trying to take pictures to sell.
Oh, I know. And I usually have no problem with it, and I'm pretty good about it. But today I'm having a rough time.
You are?
Yeah, it's okay if you leave
Why?
me the fuck alone. I don't know if you read.
I can't.
Or just have eyes. But, if you look at my how I look, maybe you'll be able to tell that I'm not going... it's not going so well.
I never thought about it that way. I grab my Nikon every day, and I know your address, and I know where you sleep.
Yeah.
And I wait outside. I'm just trying to get photos of you sort of walking with coffee to make people happy.
No, I get it. And 9 times out of 10, I usually just let it happen. But today, if it would be cool, if you guys could be cool.
Yeah. Well, I never thought about it that way, man. You've got your own thing going on, and just like all of us, some days you have sad days.
Yeah.
Have you ever considered maybe not looking so wildly ostentatious all the time if you're trying not to draw attention?
Like a cartoon? I've thought about that.
Have you ever worn a disguise?
I wear masks when I walk through 30 Rock, or like if I have to walk through something. I'll wear like a
ski
mask.
Like
a ski mask.
Oh, a ski mask. Okay, that's probably a good idea
Yeah.
when running into a crowded Midtown building.
Fuck.
I meant like, a hat, a trench coat, and a false mustache. But
Yeah.
a ski mask, sure.
Yeah, I feel like you could trust a guy in a ski mask and like a Montclair jacket.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You're like,
Yeah.
that's for fashion.
Yeah,
You got to be careful
You know
about
what I
what you
mean?
wear.
Yeah.
Because we used to.
That's not for rubbery.
No.
That's our cadence. We had a Sopranos themed coat store called the Trench Coat Mafia.
Yeah.
And after Columbine, people said,
Do you know what Columbine is?
That I know of.
You were
I don't think I was
5 then.
Was it 98?
98.
Yeah, I know about that because everybody went to high school. And it was just
Everybody
Right.
did go to high school,
Yeah,
but
that's
not
true.
everybody was a princess.
That's true.
True.
Yeah.
That is the absolute truth.
Yeah.
Today's show is sponsored by Bugles. Put one on each of your fingertips, and all of a sudden you've got 5 witches horned in your hand. Eat yourself some Bugles. Put those Bugles on the end of your fingers, and they are little witches' heads. If you could talk to Princess Diana right now, what advice would you give her?
Oh my goodness.
Let's say she's 19. She's just starting to deal with this.
I would say, is it today's world?
It's whatever world you want it to
I
be.
guess so.
Because it's different. Well, because like what we have to deal with is pretty much like the internet is a false reality where.
Untrue.
Okay.
No, but continue.
Yeah, I would just say what's on the internet is not real, and I think Che said this once to me.
Che Guevara.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, if you go to the deli and the guy forever is like, hey, what do you want to eat? And he's not talking about whatever the fuck you think people are talking about or thinking about. He's like, that's your life. He's like, that's your reality.
Yeah.
So what Michael Che said is what I would tell Princess Diana, is I would say talk to Michael Che.
And those boys, the Prince Harry and William, they
deal with it too, man. They get a lot of shit.
They get a lot of shit.
When people start making fun of your looks and like shit like that, it just starts.
Don't call him a bald bastard.
It just starts getting really fucking like rough.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But so it's like it's a whole nother. It's like not your when it's not your fault. It's just like
what is that feeling? That feeling of just being like
being called ugly all the time. It's insane. I had a doctor call me ugly once.
You're not ugly.
I mean, you don't have gilt face on good looks,
right?
But you did recently find out that you're part Jewish, right?
Yes, I'm about like 40% Jewish.
Look at you!
Look at you! That's enough.
So yeah,
that's enough to make the list.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Is that why you think? Is that why you're funny?
Yeah, I don't probably.
Judaism is the funniest of all the religions.
That was awesome,
Pete.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Pete,
any messages to Queen Elizabeth and the royal family?
Keep doing your thing, man.
That's awesome.
This is one last podcast thing that we want to hit, because we got a history of beef with you.
Yeah, from the clubs.
Yeah.
So we're going to go, Pete, are we good?
Are we good?
Of course, guys. Of course we're good.
We can bury the hatchet?
We can bury the hatchet.
We can bury the hatchet?
Yeah.
Okay, that was Pete Davidson. What an awesome conversation, and we learned so much about Princess Diana.
We told him so much about Princess Diana.
So, but it was an awesome interview, and I think everybody learned a lot, and I think we're good now, which is awesome. We are good with Pete. Next week in the podcast, we honestly do not know.
I don't know.
We do not know.
I don't know where this is going. Some of our investigation is getting set back, as many things are during this difficult time. We still pledge to go as deep as we can without many of the resources that are not available to us, like a lot of people are dealing with. Next week, we'll be talking either to a psychic or Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Today's show is sponsored by Boris Johnson's name. Isn't that weird that an English guy's name is Boris? Don't you immediately assume he's Russian? Do you think that backdated somewhere in his past that he is Russian? If so, why is he conservative? Shouldn't he be a communist? Regardless, Boris Johnson, unclear what his current health state is. Boris Johnson,
if you greased him up bare naked, how long do you think it would take you to catch him? Boris Johnson.
That was good. That was a good intro. Yeah. That was good work.
Today's show is sponsored by Jim Morrison's grave in Paris. Bored of going to the Louvre? Sick of eating baguettes? Done talking to Paris people about French stuff? Go visit Jim Morrison's grave.
That's right. Jim Morrison, a very fat army brat who became thin for a few years before becoming fat again, choking on his own vomit in Paris, currently buried in Paris. You may deface his grave, take a photo with it, or leave a Chianti bottle with too much wax dripping out of it. Jim Morrison's grave.
I got a hot take.
Yeah.
I almost miss Bush now.
Here's a message from Nick Kroll and John Mulaney. Oh Hello has no sponsor. Instead, we ask you to join us in donating to Off Their Plate. Off Their Plate pays restaurants in 9 different U.S. cities to cook free meals for hospitals and other emergency healthcare workers. More on what they're doing and how to donate at bit.ly/ohhellootp. From George and Gil, I'm Lena Masitsis. This is Oh Hello, the podcast. Today, George and Gil were unable to complete an episode of their important Princess Diana podcast. They were called away to a 500-person ultra-Orthodox funeral and kissing booth in East Williamsburg. Instead, here are some highlights from their classic unaired news segment from 2018. It's Friday, May 1st, 2020.
Right, left, Planned Parenthood, Don Trump. Who's right, who's wrong? A lot of people have hot takes. Gil and I don't. We have.
A warm breeze.
Border wall topic. I just don't know.
I'm on the fence, literally. Because first, our country was built on immigrants.
Not true, though. It was built by the founding fathers.
Right, so that's the part of the problem.
I think that's one thing, and I support all Democrats, and I support very, very extremist environmental groups. But I see it from both sides. I was looking at a painting of George Washington. I go, this guy's not an immigrant.
Yeah.
But I don't know, because Cesar Chavez was.
Yeah, because also, my families are all immigrants,
But they're from a while ago, though.
Right, exactly, and that's the difference.
I do think that's the difference. I think that was a long time ago.
Right, and we're here already now.
I just don't understand that anything happened in the past or could happen in the future.
Right, and that should be a warning sign.
I feel if you live minute to minute as we do, meal to meal, immigration must be stopped. George, Gil, what do you think of the news? Come on, everybody. You want us to have a hot take? Well, we don't.
We got a warm breeze.
Topic. Amazon.com headquarters to be built in Long Island City, Queens.
Why do we need to have a headquarters for Amazon.com if they've already come to you from online?
Amazon.com is a computer-based company. I don't see a reason for them to have a building. Also, the 21st and Van Al stop in Long Island City, Queens is already too chock full of people.
Yeah, what, now it's going to be filled with packages?
And then what's going to happen? The packages have little legs and walk around like the moving Coke cans from back in the day?
That would be pretty cool.
There was a technology where sound would make different cans dance. This was underutilized.
And that's our warm breeze on Amazon.com, the store in Long Island City.
The hardest I ever laughed was at Walgreens when they had one of those talking James Brown toys.
I feel good remembering that anecdote.
Amazon, we don't want your business. Jobs are not needed. That was Warm Breezes, brought to you by Visa. Visa is a credit card. Take it out. It's like money.
Visa, it's credit card, and it'll also let you in the country. MasterCard won't let you in the country, but it will use you for the money.
Topic.
Cuba Gooding Jr. is in Chicago.
This really gets my goat.
Yeah, me too, man.
Billy D. Williams was in Chicago, and I think that the role of the lawyer should be open to all races and creeds. But Cuba Gooding Jr. is different. Cuba Gooding Jr. won an Oscar for Jerry Maguire, the story of positivity. However, he followed this up with No Dogs, and in the trailer, the dogs could talk. I saw the movie at a Regal Cineplex Odeon. The dogs could not talk, and the only time they talked was in a dream sequence. I was so mad that I don't think Cuba Gooding Jr. should be allowed on a stage. If we are willing to tear down statues of Confederate soldiers, we should be willing to ban Cuba Gooding Jr. from gainful employment because of my own disappointment. Gil, George, what do you think of the news? Slow down, man. We don't have hot takes.
We got warm breezes. This is our warm breeze on China. You know, there's all this tariffs and stuff, and Trump's gone back and forth with these folks. And look, it's complicated.
The taxes are, in general, sales tax and delivery fees, normally.
Yeah.
And then there's the option to tip.
Right, and that's the thing is, when you order egg drip soup,
right,
you're paying for the soup, but then you get to keep that Tupperware.
A lot of times, people don't understand the Chinese process. Where's the can of Coke I ordered along with the food? It's not in the paper bag, honey. It's outside the paper bag, but within the plastic bag.
Right, and Chinese food in New York is different than Chinese food in China.
It is a purer form of the Chinese food.
They banned egg rolls. You know, they said no more than one kid and no more egg rolls.
Absolutely.
And I'm on the fence because I love egg rolls.
In short, Mr. President, don't take your fury out on the Chinese. The guy rode his bike in the rain. He's sopping wet, and he's about 90 years old. Headline. Gil and George, what do you think? Come on, guys, we don't have it takes.
That's right. This is our warm breeze on the Me Too movement.
How far is this going to go?
Too far?
It's been a year, which was 6 months too long for the Me Too movement. In the beginning, it was interesting to see on the entertainment news that different people were being fired and criticized. This made for easy conversation.
But now it seems like men are being attacked for just being men.
We're not excusing any of these kings of broadcasting, these rock star gods of the news like C. Rose. Their behavior was critique-worthy, and we champion those who come forward.
But should someone who used his status and power to destroy someone else's career then be punished?
And how far does it go? Various WWF wrestlers had checkered pasts. Are they now to be dragged through the mud?
Should everything that we know that we did wrong be brought up?
Should my students and I not take jacuzzi together? Because jacuzzi sales nationally are suffering, and I think that is tied to the Me Too movement.
Staph infections on the leg are down. Is there a correlation between jacuzzi sales and staph infections?
Would you take a whirlpool with your boss? Text 7 to 9775.
We want to know what you think.
We want to know what you think if you agree with us.
Here's what else you need to know today. Coronavirus is sweeping the nation. Experts wonder if it'll affect summer fun. That's it for Oh Hello, the podcast. I'm Lena Masitsis. See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow on the show, we're going to have Ryan Lochte. We're going to get Ryan Lochte on the podcast to talk about everything after faking getting robbed at the Rio Olympic Games.
Who knew that would be the second most important fake robbery of the past 2 years?
What's the other one?
Jussie Smollett.
Here's a message from Nick Kroll and John Mulaney. Oh Hello has no sponsor. Instead, we ask you to join us in donating to Off Their Plate. Off Their Plate pays restaurants in 9 different U.S. cities to cook free meals for hospitals and other emergency healthcare workers. More on what they're doing and how to donate at bit.ly/ohhellootp.
Everybody knows what happened with Princess Diana. A royal wedding, 2 children, a marriage in shambles, and eventually a death by car accident. But what people don't know is the small stories, the people that made up these stories, the woman behind the crown. That's what we're interested in.
If it's possible, please forget everything you know about Princess Diana and let us tell you what we read online.
Hey, the podcast.
Podcast starts now. Politics.
Celebrity interviews.
Cosplay girls.
You're a 10. You're
so
gorgeous.
beautiful. Thank you so much. You're my friggin' fantasy.
Yeah.
Fade out. Fade out. Fade out.
There it is.
There it is, everyone.
Oh, Hello podcast starts now. Starts now. Does it start now? Oh, Hello starts now. Okay. All right. Music for Podcast Volume 5.
Richie Emmanuel, library music guitarist. Thank you for that riffs and those fills.
Yeah.
It's the morning time.
George, how was your weekend?
Oh, my weekend sucked. Watched a lot of good tube, though.
Oh, yeah? Because this podcast is covering everything from celebrity news to pop culture.
So you're listening to Oh Hello, the podcast.
Oh, yeah, we should let everybody know that that's what this is. This is the podcast for Oh Hello.
We talk about everything from politics to pop culture and also the news.
We're really trying to create a new niche in the market.
There's a ton of podcasts out there, but this is the only one where you'll hear two people talking, no script, no hoops, no suits.
No suits.
No network telling us what to do, totally uncensored.
We don't jump through suits, and we don't listen to hoops.
Right.
Got a great show today, George.
Another killer. We've got a guest today coming in. This guy is not only a songwriter, but he's also a regular guy from Harrison. Lin-Manuel Miranda, Cuban-American songwriter.
For Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Lynn, do you have a heart out of 12?
I have a heart out of like 12, 15.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Oh, hello, Charles. I'm sure I'm Gil Faisan.
George St. Giglin.
Hi, Gil. Hi, George. Nice to meet you.
Lynn, in the Heights.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hello, Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we were ever really rivals, but we circled each other.
Yeah,
we circled the
We
block.
made each other better.
Yeah, I think so. There was a push. You're like Lennon McCartney.
Do you ever think about Hamilton? Taking it out there, getting it out of New York?
Hear us out. Touring this sucker could be a cash cow.
Yeah, we've got 5 productions, one in Chicago and 2 tours touring the U.S.
Do the productions that are traveling the U.S. ever run into each other and there's kind of a big cartoon dust-up?
Yeah, cartoon dust-up, lots
They
of
both
hair.
show up at the same PAC one day.
It's
And
very awkward.
oh, God. Do you license it to high schools, colleges?
We will at some point, yeah. I think that's a couple of years down the line, but yeah.
Samuel French is a dear friend.
It's really
Yeah, he's a good friend of ours. So anybody out there looking to license a musical at a high school, you got to go through Sam French. And we've known him for years.
He was originally going to do sort of large type copies of plays. We said, no, Blazer Pocket.
Yeah.
That's why they're all tiny with tiny font, single spacing.
It was funny because there was Sam French and then there was Lou Spanish. And they were the two guys who would
type up plays.
What happens when an all-white high school wants to do Hamilton?
The day will come when an albino or all-white high school will come knocking to do Hamilton. How does that fit into the rubric?
That's a tricky question. I don't know the answer to that. I think the goal will be.
I can't read. That's why I use Audible.com. Audible.com gives books to your ears. If you can't read words, Audible reads them to you.
And if you've got an iPhone, it's going to be unbelievably difficult to get a book onto your phone.
A draining app that uses tons of battery and also data points. Audible.com brought to me such great recent books that I was listening to is Bill O'Reilly's Killing Lincoln, Bill O'Reilly's Killing Kennedy, and Bill O'Reilly's Killing Reagan, who was not killed. Also, I read a great new autobiography of John McCain called Courage.
And for only $15 a month, you'll never download a book.
Audible.com. You can't read, they read the books to your ears. Now your brain knows what's in the book.
Now, people know that Hamilton just popped out of nowhere and just occurred, and you wrote it one day, and then the next day it was on Broadway.
That's not what happened. He was on a vacation, and a guy came by with towels who had a copy of a book sticking out of his pocket. And you went, what the hell is that? And he goes, what are you talking about, man? It's a book about Hamilton. You go, let me read that. He speed reads it under an umbrella on a beach. And he goes, this is a musical now. Lands in New York, sees the marquee.
Next thing
Hamilton.
you know.
Next thing you know, pay dirt.
And that's the thing about vacations. Let's talk about vacations. Speaking of vacations, you're a guy. I can't. I'm so excited about this transition. I'm so excited about this transition. We want you to walk through step by step exactly how you felt the day the Princess died.
August 31st, 1997.
Where were you?
I was in Puerto Rico, and I was at a veterinarian with my aunt. Her dog was sick, and it was playing on the TV overhead.
What was wrong with the dog?
The dog was just very old. It was a series of many visits.
So this was an old Puerto Rican dog.
This was an old Puerto Rican dog, a really mean dog named Pitufa.
Pitufa?
Oh, I know Pitufa, yeah.
Which is Spanish for Smurfette.
Oh.
Exactly.
It's a nice name for a mean dog. My aunt's late dog, may she rest in anger.
And what was your aunt like?
My aunt is lovely. She's still around. She's still with us. Her dog was mean.
Pitufa.
Pitufa was there for an annual, just kind of like your
she
very
was there
old dog
for
visit.
Yeah, it was your very old dog visit.
Well,
and
George takes me to the vet.
Absolutely.
for checkups.
Really?
Absolutely.
You know, because I'll go in there and because I get fleas and stuff like that.
Well, there's that big Petco on 79th.
That's a good spot.
And 79th and the East River, there's animal emergency, 24-hour care, and I take him down there, and I just bolt in with him in the crate screaming, and they have to treat him. And we've never paid. I don't think we've ever stayed for a visit or an invoice.
No. We get out of there before they get a
If
chance
they
to
can't
bill
print
us.
the invoice before you get out the door, it's free.
So you're in Puerto Rico. Are you living there? You're visiting?
I was visiting at the time, yeah.
For the vet.
Yeah,
visit.
I've never lived in Puerto Rico, but I've always stayed with family. Spent summers with my grandparents and my aunts and uncles.
And just a quick update on Puerto Rico. Still not a voting state.
No.
Yeah.
I'm curious about whether you've ever thought about writing a musical about Princess Diana.
I don't know that I'd be the most qualified to do that. I think there's so many pretty incredible UK musical theater writers that would be better.
Untrue, yeah, but keep going.
Untrue.
Yeah, I think
your Tim Minchins, your Lord Lloyd Webbers. You know, these are all.
Is he a lord now?
I think he's a lord.
They made Andy a lord.
As you know,
Andy.
Well, we were rivals because he had Jesus Christ
Sure,
Superstar,
sure.
and then there was Good Spell.
Yeah.
And then we had the third religious hippie musical of the mid 1970s.
Oh, what was that? I think I missed it.
It was called Zacchaeus. And it was about a tax collector hiding in the tree. Hey, Zacchaeus, you tax collector, you're hiding in the tree. And then there was just an orgy scene that really made it, set it apart. We were actually written up in the Nation magazine.
So sort of an O Calcutta Hair.
Absolutely inspired by Hair.
So you're a New York kid. Your father is New York politics.
Yeah, New York politics.
Now, he worked for Freddie Ferrara, is this correct?
Freddie Ferrer, he worked for Mayor Koch.
He worked for Ed Koch.
He worked for Ed Koch. That was his first job in politics. He was an advisor on Hispanic affairs.
Really?
Yeah.
Did a young Lin-Manuel Miranda meet an Ed Koch?
Yeah. I would go to the Christmas party at Gracie Mansion
Is
every
it
year.
true?
Last term.
Third term. Is it true that you were, in fact, Ed Koch's Band-Aid wrangler?
When he had a stroke and really knocked that noggin, you get him a big flesh-colored
We weren't that
Band-Aid?
close.
All right.
I was a child of a kid who was an advisor.
What
It's
did you?
not that close.
Were you excited to meet Ed Koch? Was he a frightening figure to you? Was he an exciting figure to you?
He was. I think he was all of those things, but he was very friendly to kids, and so. The Christmas party was really fun. You know what I'll tell you? The only thing I remember, because I was very young when my dad worked for Koch, was there was this amazing cheesecake, this Mitchell London cheesecake that my dad would occasionally bring home.
Mitchell
And they would only, this is the most New York shit ever.
That's all
and they
I've
would
ever-
only sell it at like the one Zabar's on 72nd. That was the only place you could get it.
But
Mitchell
Ed
London
Koch
cheesecake.
did sell it out of Gracie Mansion as well.
he did. I think he got in trouble for that later, but yes,
Yeah.
it was delicious.
There are a lot of things that Ed Koch got in trouble for later.
Yeah.
Now, what was Ed Koch's relationship with the Latin community?
Very fraught, very problematic. My dad was a guy who had protested Ed Koch until he started working for him.
Right.
Yeah.
He was brought inside the fold to help to figure it out.
Yeah.
Was it tricky for him within the community? Did your father deal with backlash for being a part of Ed Koch's?
I think he did. And I think he learned a lot about what it means to go from someone who is protesting to someone who is trying to make change from the inside, which is kind of Act 2 of Hamilton, going from like a revolutionary to like, oh, we now help set policy and set precedent.
You gotta be in the room.
Be in the room where they did it. We would second act it. We second act it.
Yeah, we have never seen the first act of Hamilton.
Nah, we just second act that
We
sucker.
second act guys, you know what I mean?
I'd come in with a Parliament
very
light.
impressive.
I go, I was just outside. They go, put that out, please. I go, fine. And the cigarette would cause enough of a distraction that I could scoot up to the loge. Yeah.
Do you miss do you think that New York could use some of that, the more the grit, the more that back and forth, the more
I think you guys carry that flag beautifully.
We
you know.
tried.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough flag to carry.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like all the old guards now gone.
Yeah,
It
you know
was
what?
us, it was
A
Elliot
couple of
Spitzer.
our proteges, Elliot Spitzer, Anthony
Anthony
Weiner,
Weiner.
two of our closest,
Two of the
nearest.
fallen.
Because we were advisors to both those guys. We say we want you to be on the right side of things. We wanted you to be really sure about what your politics are, and then just bury all of your ambition and difficulties in weird jerk off stuff.
Yeah, and if you guys guys could just blow it as hard as possible, we'd be thrilled. I remember telling Anthony, he was shaving his chest in the mirror, and I was saying a little to the left, a little to the right. And I said, you know what you should do? You're doing so well in Congress. Why don't you just totally bite it? I mean, as a leader and as a human being.
But as for me, as Jewish New Yorker, to have all of these great Jewish hopes in the New York political system then turn into, strangled jerk-off monsters.
Lynn, you're a composer. What key is he saying Jewish in? Would you say it again?
Jewish.
Or set a key and he'll hit it.
I think that's an E.
I always thought I would be best in E. But you grew up Upper West Side.
Upper, yeah.
Upper. But you went to Hunter High School.
I did. I went to Hunter Elementary through high school. So I was doing a commute. I went downtown and across the park.
Down and across the park.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Woody Allen and make eye contact with him and he gave you a knowing nod and you gave him a knowing nod that you were both going to, have majorly impactful artistic contributions to American culture?
No, I think, but I would see him on the way to Apple Tree Grocery on 95th Street.
Oh, that's a good grocery.
Yeah. And
I saw Sidney Lumet in Key Foods once, and he caught me denting cans. And I said, keep your fucking mouth shut.
Would you walk through the park? Would you take the bus?
If I was running late, I would probably run across the park because sometimes it's faster than that crosstown bus.
This is Wilder.
That M96.
That M9. Oh, come on. I mean, if you
No.
want to talk about the M96, let's talk about the M96.
I tried to get M. Night Shyamalan to make a movie about the M96 called M. Night 96.
Yeah.
And I said the twist is that, it's just better to walk.
What we'll do is we'll take our bikes that don't work, flat tires.
Absolutely.
And we'll get those on the bus. We'll get them loaded on the back of the bus.
And we're never going in a straight line. We're weaving in an S. We're sitting on big banana seats, and everyone's in our way.
So let's say you're on the Upper West Side. It's Lil Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's coming home, and he's had 4 sugar coffees because he's a child drinking coffee.
It's a child drinking coffees, playing dominoes.
And you got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I know all the spots.
What are a couple Upper West Side? We'll do a 1-for-1.
Okay. The Performing Arts Library, Lincoln Center.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a good one.
That's a
good one.
great
It's quiet.
VHS
And it's
library.
warm.
It's warm.
But I worry about that whole outdoor fountain area because when you got to cross that with a pants full, it's really scary. You get into that. You got
to go in on Amsterdam. You got to go in.
You
on
got to
Amsterdam.
go in on
Amsterdam. The stage at the Beacon for me.
Wait a minute.
Right on stage.
Yeah, if there's a ghost light and no one really there.
Oh,
in the
Frank
middle of
Rich's
the
Ghost Light.
afternoon,
Or you go on stage during a Steely Dan concert. We were 9 nights at the Beacon.
You can sneak behind the Danettes as backup singers. They got a table full of bottled water. This is
So you can just squat right back there
Yeah.
because Donald Fagen is not paying attention.
absolutely not.
Lowe's 84th back in the day, very
Sure.
lax security. I don't think anyone was taking tickets. You could
No.
just go in, use the restroom, leave.
Yeah, you go in there, you go to the restroom, you see 3 men and a baby, 3 men and a little lady.
Little lady,
yeah.
And that's a good one. And you drink now the defunct RC Cola.
Oh, RC Draft, rest in peace.
Oh,
Lasted 1 year.
What about Diet Mug root beer? Where did that go?
You're making me miss the Nobody Beats the Whiz on 96 and Broadway,
No,
where
but-
ironically you can't go to the bathroom. They would not let you.
No, but
But they had the
ironic.
best deal on cassette singles.
Yes,
Yes.
nobody will let you take a whiz.
Nobody will let you take a whiz.
I shoplifted a single of Parents Just Don't Understand from that store, and I was in my late 40s, old enough that it was embarrassing.
I got in my only fist fight at that Nobody Beats the Whiz.
Really?
For the last cassette single of Scenario by A Tribe Called Quest.
Whoa.
Who did you get in a fist fight with?
My friend Michael Stevens.
Oh, your friend.
Yeah.
When you think about Princess Di,
Mm.
you think about Elton John.
You do. They're wedded in the popular imagination.
They are.
Because
really are.
he did rewrite the song for her.
And shortly before her death, they were both at Versace's funeral.
Gianni. Our dear
Gianni.
friend Gianni Versace.
Oh, you know him?
We were dear friends with him.
We bought shirts on Canal Street that were ostensibly made by him.
But we also weirdly wrote all the lyrics to the Migos song Versace.
Oh.
So
They're a great group of guys.
do you know them? Do you
No,
know
I
Migos?
haven't had the
They're
pleasure.
chaotic.
Chaotic good?
We had them over there. Chaotic good, yeah.
If you thought about singing the song "Candle in the Wind," rights free, with no residuals, What would that sound like? You know, it'd be like, how does it go? Do you know how it goes?
But I mean, if I think we could tailor it to him. You say, goodbye, Lin-Manuel. Though you were a guest and podcast, you had a heart out that we're trying to respect.
This sounds like it's about me now. I didn't know that.
Well, I think that
you wrote Hamilton, and also in the Heights,
and now you're dead. The paparazzi chased you just like they did to Princess Di. And it seems to us you drank your coffee with the milk and then the sugar.
Never knowing where to go to the bathroom on the Upper Side.
You've never been below 60th, or at least we didn't get to that.
Oh man, please play that at my funeral.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
You know him from Mana and Hamilton.
Mana?
Mana,
Mana, the Disney movie.
Yeah. I took Gil to the vet recently because he had both fleas and ticks. What to do? Hose him off? Stick him in a bathtub? No way. Give him Frontline. If your friend or pet has fleas and ticks and your roommate lives like a durg, get them new Frontline Plus, now with methoprene. Methoprene was tested on human beings during the Vietnam War and has been perfected in terms of science, in terms of what it can eliminate, and certainly no one knows the truth. Methoprene now in Frontline Plus. Gil loves it.
If you drink some, you can see rainbows.
Frontline Plus now with methoprene. Talk to your vet and give it to your roommate.
I'm scabbing. Uh-oh, it's that time, George.
Movie reviews.
Movie reviews.
Hold on. Movie reviews. Roman J. Israel Esquire Denzel Washington stars in the new 1992 film Malcolm X. Here with his review is critic Gil Faisan.
When one thinks about the history of movies, you always want to think about what movies are about history. No better movie to discuss about this kind of thing than Malcolm X. From director Spike Lee, who made the movie where the guy threw the TV into the pizza place.
Do the right thing.
With Danny Aiello.
Do the right thing.
And also, what's it called?
Do the right thing, honey.
I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying to do the review of Malcolm X.
Gil, do the right thing.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the right thing by explaining what Spike Lee has done.
I know Spike Lee. She's got to have it.
She's got to have. I thought Spike Lee was a guy.
No, she's got to have it.
Well, I'm trying to give it to her if she's the person listening to the podcast.
All right, do the right thing.
Okay, I will. I'm trying to do the right thing by finishing this movie
I
review.
know. We're talking Spike Lee. She's got to have it.
Who's she?
Do the right thing.
Okay, I will. And that's to do the review of the movie Malcolm X. Out of 5 Ziploc bags of popcorn that I bring into the movie theater so I don't have to pay for popcorn, I give it 4.5 bags. I drop some on the floor for Malcolm X.
Gil Faisan is a film critic living in apartment 7C, as in candle. Please tell delivery men 7C, as in candle.
You know, George, I recently downloaded my first book.
What was that?
It's, do you know Where the Wild Things Are?
No.
It's a book about a little boy, and he's got imagination.
Little Prince.
Yeah.
But Fosse.
Uh-huh. And he goes into this special new place, and he meets all these monsters. And they're so cool to him. And the boy acts like a little monster. And then he goes back to the real world, and he just absolutely annihilates a kid. Eats him. Eats his whole body. And... And the kid, and then the boy was so happy.
Right. Audible.com, bringing Gil the books that he imagined.
Here's a message from Nick Kroll and John Mulaney. Oh Hello has no sponsor. Instead, we ask you to join us in donating to Off Their Plate. Off Their Plate pays restaurants in 9 different U.S. cities to cook free meals for hospitals and other emergency healthcare workers. More on what they're doing and how to donate at bit.ly/ohhellootp.
Today's episode has only one sponsor, and that's Uber. Uber is a word from Nazi times meaning super, like I am the Uber person, I am the Hitler. It's now a way to drive taxi cab drivers out of their livelihoods. Welcome to episode 7 of Oh Hello. 7 is a lucky number, but what happened on that day in Paris was anything but lucky. It was a tragedy, really. On today's podcast, episode 7 of Oh Hello, the podcast, the life and times of Princess Di, a.k.a. Die Down. Gil Faison charmed he's sure, speaks with our former makeup artist and hairstylist from Oh Hello on Broadway, Anna Marie Tendler-Mullaney. Now I, George Giegland, was not allowed to be in this interview because while she has a restraining order against Gil Faison charmed he's sure, she has what's known as a double restraining order against me, George St. Giegland. How are you? Right. I knew Gil would handle the interview well, though. Though he's not a top broadcaster like myself, he has affability and was so good at recruiting people into the Jehovah's Witnesses throughout the 80s that he was honored at a small ceremony at a Hyatt Regency. Later in the podcast, Gil and I take you on a journey. Not one of our classic acid trips where we play library music and tell you to lay down on the rug. This is a car journey where Gil and I try to recreate the automobile crash that took the life of Princess Diana of Spencer. We won't be pausing for ad breaks the way we normally do because this episode is entirely sponsored by Uber. Lyft is a little silly, isn't it? Uber! Did you invest in taxicab medallions in 2002 and now you're just so pissed? I'm so mad every day. Uber.
Anna, hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, Gil. How are you?
Oh, hello, charmed I'm sure to be talking to you. I'm better for speaking to you. Let's get into it. You know, after the Broadway run, we were riding high, 138 shows, big numbers, and that, I believe, was your last appearance in Broadway. Is that true?
Yes, I got out of doing hair and makeup entirely as a profession.
You know, some people say it was because of how the experience was in Broadway.
I wouldn't say it was Broadway specific. I would say it was more Gil and George specific.
Like you had hit the zenith of what you could do in Broadway, so you didn't want to ruin it by doing another show?
No, that's definitely not it. It was a real chore to work with you guys, and you made my life miserable literally every single day.
Yeah, we've heard that before. Yeah, we really have. So that's good to know. There's a consistency to it.
It was consistent.
It was consistent, because not only did you do all of our hair and makeup, but I'd make you watch me eat chocolate babka from Zabar's and Russian d'oeuvres and also the bake store, and I'd make you watch me, and I thought that what brought you joy. That wasn't something that you enjoyed?
Well, being forced to watch someone eat isn't really like my idea of fun.
But I sort of asked you for consent.
You put us in a room and you locked the door.
Yeah, but I said, are you cool with this? And then you kind of nodded.
I'm pretty sure it was a firm no.
The lesson I got from Louis' special is even when someone gives you consent, afterwards they can say it wasn't and then you're the victim. So that's how I'm framing this one.
There was
the other reason, besides burying the hachette, which I think we've done, I think we can move on from that experience. I think now you're going to look back positively on your time in Broadway. I also remember you talking about your Beanie Baby collection.
I did have a Beanie Baby collection when I was a kid.
I had a Beanie Baby collection as well. Not so much when I was a kid, more when I was a grown man. Let's get into it. There was a Beanie Baby of Princess Di, right?
There was. It wasn't of her, but it was a bear, and it was purple.
And did you get one?
No, they were very difficult to get, and I believe they were much more expensive.
So she passes away, murdered, and then the Beanie Baby, of course, as always, Big Beanie Baby jumps right on it, and so they released the Purple Princess Diana Bear Beanie Baby because we couldn't bear to live without her. And did any of your friends have one? Did you know anybody who had one?
You know, I don't think I did, but I remember going to friends' houses and there would be sort of like lore of people who had gotten them, like going to a friend's house and then being like, oh, I don't have the Princess Diana one, but my friend Christina has one.
Right,
and
and
you
then-
were never quite sure if Christina existed, if she did have one. There was a lot of mystery around it.
Much like the death of Princess Diana, and all of these people who had the Princess Di Beanie Baby Bear died.
No, I don't think it was like a cursed toy situation.
You heard it here first. Anna Tenlumalani says that every person who ever owned a Princess Diana Bear Beanie Baby is dead.
No,
Just
I didn't.
like how Princess Diana was murdered by a bear.
Well, that's on record as not being true.
That is on record. Me and George made a vinyl about that and did not sell many copies of it.
You know what?
But
That I would like to hear, actually.
me and George on a vinyl record talking about a bear killing Princess Diana and debunking that rumor. Anna Tenlumalani, thank you so much for being on the show. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Gil. And please never contact me again.
All right, I'll call you later.
Please don't.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Uber. Gil and I drive an Uber.
If you can believe it, sometimes George and I can't make the monthly rent. We don't have the money we used to. Becoming an Uber driver has been a great way to subsidize some income for us. The fact that two guys like us have been able to drive an Uber means anybody can do it.
We want to thank Uber for giving a second chance to us and a lot of other convicted offenders, sex offenders, or negligent parents.
Yeah.
Now in a Camry, we veer from lane to lane, cutting people off, a large steering wheel.
With just the flick of a button, you can end up in a car driven by us.
With just the push of the smartphone, I'll pick you up in brown leather driving gloves with netting over the veins on the top of my hand.
And George will know where you live.
I know my way around the city, and any discussion or advice about what ride I should take will be met with vitriol. Featuring some of the smallest Poland Spring bottles that are available for sale, normally used in bird hospitals, the beige Camry that we drive also has bag mints.
Sit on a blanket that has dog hair on it.
Under the blanket is a spring poking out of the interior.
Try to buckle your seatbelt after George makes an incredibly difficult left turn, screaming at everybody around him. You're not going to be able to click that belt into the buckle.
Listen to me nod and cackle along with such shock jock DJs as Michael Savage.
And let George ask you about your life, your friendships, your addresses, and whether you're going to be in town for a while, because maybe he'll sneak back to your apartment and break in while you're gone.
Listen to Gil discuss his tenuous connections to the band The Grateful Dead.
Jerry Garcia was a guy, I was friends with his sister when I was at Bard. And then I'd see them on the road sometime. Do you want to listen to Sugar Magnolia? Actually, can we hear Sugar Magnolia by the Grateful Dead? Sponsored by Uber.
Today's podcast is sponsored by Uber. Gil and I now drive an Uber. Thank you to Uber for letting us drive a car and let people and kids into the car. Today is also sponsored by Gil's Grateful Dead story. Going on 33 years now, Gil's story of when he met the Grateful Dead has changed constantly over the years, adding in details and figures that he's heard from documentaries and other people's stories. Gil's Grateful Dead story.
When you push a button on your phone, I'll come and pick you up in an Uber. It's a Buick LeSabre, a two-door. You're gonna have to get past the back of the seat, and that's gonna be difficult for you. Do you want the tiny little worder?
He pushes the front seat forward.
Mints?
He moves the seatbelt just a little bit. Climb right over all this stuff. He's got coffee mugs on the floor of the back seat.
Watch me look at Gilfood to Google. I don't know where I'm going, but don't even ask me if I know. I'm gonna go the way that I know. Please don't ask me if I know.
Gil. I drive around in a Toyota Camry, very beige with loose interior. Spikes stick out of the interior. I covered them with a blanket that has dog fur on it.
You are the best driver.
I use WhatsApp to talk to people that I met from ISIS who I think are my friends, but they are members of a Facebook group of ISIS. They want me to do terrible things.
I met David Crosby a year ago. I know it's David Crosby, not someone else. I found out later it was not David Crosby. It was none other than David Duke. David Duke. David Duke's my friend now. I know
Gil
it.
claims that he met David Crosby. I was there and it was not David Crosby.
It was my friend David Duke. He's a Klan member, but a good guy. He's had a lot of work done on his face. He has a lot of facelifts, but he looks like an old young man. His views on racial purity are troubling, but he's a fun guy to have a beer with.
Yeah.
Drive an Uber, or be driven in an Uber.
We are in a nation of strangers.
You know what? There's that Taco Mahal place that I like over here. They combine tacos with Indian food. Driving around New York City these days is a joy to behold. There's construction every block, and there's livery drivers, there's Uber drivers everywhere.
What I wonder is de Blasio himself barfing everywhere on the street, or is it just once he became the mayor, let's clean up the barf became less of a priority? Oh, you know what? Here's a Rafiki's. Okay, let's pull over because I want to get yogurt muffin and yogurt loaves.
Okay.
No, don't stop the car first.
Well, I did. The idea is, and this was an idea that we came up with as I realized that I wanted desperately to go to the Roy Rogers on the other side of the Holland Tunnel. Two birds, one stone. Go under the Holland Tunnel at 60, 70 miles an hour like Henri Paul did. No seatbelts.
And try to get to that moment at 12:23 a.m. Paris time. Henri Paul, he lost control of the vehicle at the entrance of the Pointe d'Alma Tunnel, which means the Point of Alma.
Yep. So what we're going to do is we're going to speed through there, at which point we will hit the 13th column as Di, Henri Paul, and Doriel Fayette did.
Yes.
And we haven't fully thought this through. Because if we do it exactly as they did it, we're going to smush ourselves up like an accordion and hopefully end up in the hands of the great Weird Al Yankovic.
Now, hold on. Let's pause there for a second.
Okay.
Because what was that about?
Weird Al Yankovic doing parody songs with accordions.
Oh, I thought maybe you thought of God as Weird Al Yankovic, which I would not put past you and I would not judge.
I mean, would you disagree that one of the possible deities of our time is none other than Weird Al Yankovic, the parody song king?
I mean, this is a man who, in terms of popularity, has not declined in that people that loved Weird Al still love Weird Al.
Oh, see, what's happening right now is there seems to be a filming or something. I know it's just that's just a European man in one of those puffy coats.
Right.
That's what that was.
You know what I just realized is you and I know what happened after August 31st, 1997. They would not have known. So whatever the small talk in the car was could not have included knowledge beyond 1997.
So we would do, you want to do some role playing? I'll be in Paul.
I will role play, but you know where that leads for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's the 90s. We got the Pretenders.
I'll stand by you.
And so that, in my mind, Dirty was singing this to Diana in the car.
Right.
Right. And
stand by.
Maybe that's why they didn't have seatbelts on. They were standing up inside the car, and so they could stand up right next to each other
to sing into each other's eyes.
Yeah, and then
that's interesting.
Henri Paul, which is Henry Paul in America,
right?
He decides, you know what? I gotta go use the bathroom, and so I'm gonna speed up, try to get there fast so I can get home and take a whiz. All right, here we go. Let's get through the tunnel.
You must drive me to the palace.
Yes, of course. We're going to do that for you. One zips up, we make you home all right there. I have to pee.
I am not the queen. I am Diana. I'm going to do it Australian. Hey, I'm Diana.
Yeah. I will get you home for me to pee. I must pee so quickly. I must get you home. I will run away from war.
Give me a bagel. Give me a. I don't know.
You got to audition for SNL, man, because your impressions are they're great.
I want a bagel with tomato.
I'm RuPaul. On antidepressants, antipsychotics, and 2 glasses to drink of alcohol.
Just to take the edge off?
To take the edge off. I mean, can you imagine the pressure of driving the people's princess?
Exactly. And remember, 9 days before this, they'd been on a yacht together aboard Mohammed Al Fayed's yacht, the Jonicle, on the French and Italian Riviera. So we've been... I don't know what, if you have kids listening, cover their ears. We've been sucking and fucking, and it's disgusting what we've been doing on this Arab's yacht, and now we're in a car.
And then Diana and Dodie are making small talk, and I can be Diana, and you want to be Dodie? You want to get a slice?
I can't have a slice.
Why not?
Come on, I'm Princess Di.
All right. Dwayne Reed by Walgreens. That's class.
Like Malcolm X by Alex Haley.
You know, the thing is I like getting my generic moisturizer from CVS better than the generic moisturizer from Walgreens. Because my cat has dry paws. So when I buy moisturizer for my cat's dry paws, my cat has cat eczema. And I think I have cat eczema. So...
You have cat eczema?
I have cat eczema.
Guy was washing his boots over the hose. Only in New York.
All right. Georgia, there seems to be a small problem here as we approach the tunnel. There's a ton of traffic.
Well, there would have been a ton of traffic on a warm Paris night as people head off to see different French paintings and French legs. I've taken my seatbelt off at this point because my man Dodie and my girl Di were not strapped in. Because it creases the sport coat. Okay, fine, I'll put it back on. Okay, so we're gonna be strapped in. Here, back up, get in there, lane. We need to be in the left lane. Let us in! Let us in! Let him in!
We're stuck in traffic. I think we're gonna have trouble getting up to 70 miles an hour. You know, maybe doing it at 5 p.m. on a Tuesday in the fall in New York, going into the Holland Tunnel, isn't a 1-to-1 for going through the Paris Tunnel at night.
These are not the same conditions as 12:20 a.m. on a Paris night, but...
Hey, fuck you, man!
Let him in!
Fuck you, man!
Let him in!
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry, I didn't see your gun.
All right, we're gonna... I'm getting nervous here that we're not gonna get up to 70.
Yeah, me too. I mean, this is like Back to the Future.
Right.
Because the guy, he had to get up to 88 to get...
Oh, I've been in chat rooms with Libyans, and I've been promising them a whole host of prizes and goodies.
I know, I'm saying they got to get up to 88 to get the
to go to the 50s, yeah.
Yeah, so here we are stuck in traffic. I'm going to pull a U-turn.
Okay.
Can we do that? Sorry.
Let him out.
Sorry.
We're doing Diana.
We're doing a podcast. Sorry, man.
Sorry.
Can I do a U-turn here, please?
We're doing the Diana. This is long form.
This is an alternate history of what would have happened if they had not sped through that tunnel, stopped and posed for photographs.
This is a sliding doors situation now.
Yes. Right.
This is the road not traveled.
Right. Can I just say, in this alternate reality, and this is not because I'm hungry, but I think probably Di and Dodie, they don't go through the tunnel and then they go get a slice.
Right, because they
didn't get to eat their dinner because of the paparazzi.
Right. And they're alive, so they'd go, I need to eat right now. I don't care if it's too hot.
Let's get a slice.
Let's get a slice. It can be too hot.
Interesting.
That's it for episode 7 of Oh Hello, the podcast, The Life and Times of Princess Diana, a.k.a. Di-Town, the Murder of Di. Thanks again to Uber. Uber. Choose Uber Black, or it's a horrible experience. Join us next week for a season finale that will leave you hoping that the next season starts soon.
Follow the clues.
Follow the clues.
Yeah.
What are the clues? Tell us what they are, and then we'll follow them.
You know what? I think you know.
Here's a message from Nick Kroll and John Mulaney. Oh Hello has no sponsor. Instead, we ask you to join us in donating to Off Their Plate. Off Their Plate pays restaurants in 9 different U.S. cities to cook free meals for hospitals and other emergency healthcare workers. More on what they're doing and how to donate at bit.ly/ohhellootp.
We got a new segment on the show, and it's called Shit Outs. Let's get a song for Shit Outs.
Can we have a little music for our shit outs?
There's tropical, heartfelt, industrial, melancholy, mysterious.
Sedona Samba.
Tropical?
Yeah. Shit out to the wet seat on the R train. Pooled soda lives in the wet seat. I choose to sit in it.
Shit out to all the little kids on Razor scooters whose parents are absolutely terrified that they're going to roll into traffic and get smushed like a pancake.
Shit out to
the New York Post.
The New York Post, getting smaller with fewer pages every day.
Shit out, of course, to post-ops. People who've gotten out of an operation and chilling back at home with an aide.
Follow the clues.
Follow the clues.
Yeah.
What are the clues? Tell us what they are, and then we'll follow them.
You know what? I think you know.
Right, we do.
Start at the beginning and follow the clues.
Follow the clues.
Yeah.
But what is the beginning?
Huh.
Like, is the beginning her dying?
Yes. The beginning is her dying.
The fuck, that's the ending.
Yeah, she was not dead when she was born.
I mean, it happens at the end, but it's also a very significant part of it.
It was a pretty big deal in her life.
Yeah.
And who are you?
I'm John Ronson. I'm a writer, and whilst I'm not a Diana murder conspiracy theorist, I am somebody who knows about Diana murder conspiracy theories and can tell you why some people believe that.
Okay, how would you say that shorter?
I am no Diana conspiracy theorist.
Okay.
I have to pee.
Okay.
A special thank you to the hot dog cart that had bees in it in Times Square. Over 200 bees came out of a hot dog cart in Times Square. The city thanks you.
Shout out to Lynn Line, shout out to Time Warner, shout out to all the Spectrum services out there this week who have to deal with calls from us complaining about our lack of a television.
Shout out to having a Lynn Line so that you can have cable and having one weird phone in your apartment. That phone sometimes rings. Who is it? It's terrifying.
So you're from Wales originally?
Yes.
What does that mean when people say Wales?
We're kind of like Scotland and Ireland, but slightly less sure of why we exist.
Gotcha.
And there was a woman who was the princess of.
Yes, she was the Princess of Wales. I should tell you that, like, not everyone in Britain at the time was obsessed with Diana.
You mean during her life?
Yes. Some of us felt not another story about Diana on the news again. Like, some of us felt like...
Like you were excited that there was one?
No, that the media was kind of obsessed with Diana, and it was just a little bit too much.
Would you say that Americans are weirdly more obsessed with British royalty and the monarchy than the Brits themselves?
Well, a lot of Brits were. Like, I don't want to, like, undersell how interested, like, a lot of people were. And in fact, when Diana died, that's when people really kind of figured out how they felt.
That's a bit late.
It was a bit late.
That's a bit late.
Particularly because the way most people felt was incredibly guilty and remorseful. And then if you look at news footage from, like, the week after she died, it was like a Trump rally. You had people screaming at the press. There was, like, regular Brits just screaming at BBC journalists.
And why were they screaming at the press?
Blaming them for her death, like metaphorically, and that they just sort of, were hounding her for years, and then literally, and that they were hounding her that night. I clearly remember watching some woman screaming at a BBC presenter, and the BBC presenter was almost in tears himself. And I clearly remember watching that and thinking, that woman is taking out her own feelings of guilt and remorse on the journalist.
In terms of when she was alive, this antipathy that you seem to have had and claim others had, she was princess.
Antipathy's like a big word for what I was trying to express. It was more...
I know, I was condensing it because this is radio.
She was a kind of young revolution that had come in to try and topple the sort of bloated old ideology.
Do you think she was conscious of that's what she was doing?
Yes. She was taking this sort of corrupt institution and she was tearing it apart in actually a really brave way.
Would you say that's why they had her killed?
Well, I don't know whether or not they had her killed. My guess is they probably didn't. But in the midst of all of this, a big conspiracy theory began to form, like amongst a lot of people who believed that she had been killed.
Shout out to the 275,000 new livery drivers licensed today in New York City. Whether you're Lyft, Uber, or some independent car company, we're happy to have you on the road. Shout out to other podcasts.
Shout out to other podcasts out there in the marketplace. Shout out to the podcast marketplace. Quick shout out to our dear friend Kai Rizdal on NPR's Marketplace.
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
8 p.m.
American
tonight.
Public Media. No, 8 p.m.
Yeah, 8 p.m. tonight.
8 p.m. tonight. Check out Marketplace. What was the main conspiracy theories?
Well, there was a white Fiat that was spotted in the vicinity, and I think I'm right in remembering that the paint from the white Fiat was found on her car, on the limo. So there was actually some impact between the white Fiat and the limo, but I might be wrong about that. But there was definitely a white Fiat, and it was a Fiat Uno, and there was a big dog in the Fiat Uno, and some believe that also in the Fiat Uno was an assassin, was somebody who was going to commit vehicular homicide.
So just to back up a little to put this in context, the standard story of how she died is that Paul Henri, one of the great Ritz-Carlton drivers who was on antipsychotics and alcohol, drove too fast into a tunnel and slammed into a pillar. Yes. But this theory is that there was a Fiat. These are small cars, by the way, Fiats. Is that right? Are they like a Peugeot?
It's smaller than a Peugeot.
It's smaller than a Peugeot.
Yeah, it's like a marshmallow with wheels on it.
So this theory is that it wasn't just Paul Henri, one of the great antipsychotic takers, driving too fast, but that a car slammed into them.
Yeah, and in fact, it wasn't just the driver of the Fiat. There was a whole other narrative going on right in front of our eyes that we just didn't notice.
Including a dog.
Including a giant dog. So the white Fiat...
A giant dog?
Yeah, a large dog.
Car.
The large dog was spotted in the small car with the assassin, which begs, I think, a number of questions. Is it a good or a bad idea if you're an assassin to take a big dog with you? And I would say there's an argument for both. Well, on the plus side, if you're an assassin, it's a good idea to take a big dog with you, because if you're with a big dog, what does everybody notice?
The big dog.
Not like the hottie who wants to take care of a big dog and show that he's got, a good personality. He's a woman, that he's a caretaker for women.
And then the downside is that dogs are unpredictable,
Yeah, like,
they
for example,
get in the front seat a lot.
If you're trying to assassinate the most famous woman in the world,
take a big dog with you.
Well, yes, if it's an emotional support animal, and if you're worried about the dog interfering with you using your Fiat to ram Princess Diana into a wall to kill her, you would give your dog half a Benadryl and then they're out.
Some believe the dog was actually a device that was made to look like a dog.
Yes, that's what my first thought was when you said a dog. I thought, I wonder, it could be a device made to look like a dog. Because I had a big stuffed bear that I won at a carnival by stealing it. I stuffed it full of guns during an IRS had to come and check on something, and I had a lot of weaponry inside this. So that was my immediate thought. Shout out to human cones. Everyone knows a dog wears a cone when it eats at his stitches. What about when your friend Gil's doing the same? After my friend Gil's laparoscopic hernia procedure, he began eating the stitches out of his own stomach.
I would bend over and I'd eat them, and then I'd chew on my own balls.
He'd chew the thread out of his own stitches and make it bleed.
And I chewed the thread out of my own balls so much that my ball fell out. My ball was hanging out outside of it like a testicle hanging outside of its scrotal sac.
So special shout out to Dr. R. We did not get your full name at Urgent Care. Thank you for sewing Gil up and for giving him a dog cone to wear. Does the white Fiat definitely exist?
I don't know the answer.
Were there security cameras?
I'm glad you mentioned the security cameras, because it's been said that all 28 video traffic control cameras weren't working that night from the 20 minutes before they left the Ritz Hotel until after the crash.
Isn't it also possible that it's just France, where a lot of lazy laborers were on strike and nobody was doing their job, so the cameras weren't working for that reason?
Yes, and it's also possible that the fact that I just gave you isn't right or true.
But why do we need to bring facts into whether this is true or not?
I think we should go with feeling.
Who do they think was behind the murder?
Oh, MI6, like the New World Order, the elite, the globalists.
The Jews.
The Jews and the arms dealers.
So the Queen herself, the monarchy, not responsible. All connected.
Yeah, all connected. And it's all down to her going to landmine fields.
It was likely big landmine, because landmines probably the biggest thing in all of arms.
And everyone's buying them, so if you thwart that market, suddenly, the mom with the shopping list is going to go, I'm not going to get a landmine. How did Diana's work with landmines start? Had she stepped on one and just felt that embarrassment and was like, you know what, no one should have to have their day
I'll tell
ruined?
you, Diana's biggest landmine was that strapless dress she wore to her first event. Her boobs were spilling out of the dress. First landmine, it was where the royals, I think for the first time, said, this is not our girl.
I saw her once.
Where?
At the Serpentine. I'm going to try and find you the photograph.
What's the Serpentine?
The Serpentine is an art gallery in Hyde Park in London, and I was walking past and there was paparazzi everywhere, and so I stopped and just stood there, and there was Diana walking into the Serpentine. I'm going to show you Diana Serpentine.
Now, and when you Google Diana Serpentine, it's not going to come up Diana Lizard People.
Well, exactly. Diana Serpent came up pretty quickly. There she is. There she is. I witnessed that. Eyes.
Interesting.
Yes.
Was it watermarked when you saw it, or was that added by the photographer? And when you say you were walking by, were you with the paparazzi? I mean, that's kind of a suspicious thing to say. I was just walking by with all these paparazzi.
I was just having a nice walk in the park.
How old was Jim Ronson on that evening?
I would have been about 28.
And at that point, you were going, you know what? I'm going to write these books. They upset everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we get back to MI6 is the British Secret Service. They're connected to the New World Order, different than the WWF wrestling.
Or the WWF Panda thing, that's an animal organization.
Yes, right.
MI6 is what?
MI6 is Britain's CIA.
It exists. It is not a...
Yeah, it's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
And James Bond, is he still there? Is he still involved? Or is he retired? Or?
He didn't exist, but the organization did.
Did Pierce Brosnan exist?
He exists as Pierce Brosnan, but when he becomes James Bond, he stops existing as James Bond.
But one could, if they took the proper steps, encounter the real Pierce Brosnan.
Is it possible that Princess Diana's death was in fact a drive-by fruiting?
Right.
What does that mean?
Well, of course, Pierce Brosnan.
There was a documentary called Mrs. Deadfire.
Precursor to Transparent. And in that film, Rob Williams is at war with Pierce Brosnan over the love of Sally Field. Pierce Brosnan gets hit with some fruit, and he says it's a drive-by fruiting.
Robin Williams, dressed in improv, dressed up like a woman, dressed up like a man. He runs back and forth at this restaurant called Bridges in a farcical scene that really did not need to happen. You know, you could see how the events of that evening could have been avoided.
Would you say you couldn't write this stuff as far as Diana goes?
Oh, shit, that's good. That'd be
good. Sometimes truth.
Yeah, I like where this is going.
I like the pauses.
Is stranger than fiction.
Yep.
I'll tell you something. There's only 2 times in my life in London that I remember London just being silent, just very eerily silent. When you'd walk to the shop to buy the paper and just everybody was silent. It only happened twice that I can remember. And one time was when Diana died. And the second time was when David Beckham kicked somebody in the back and got sent off. And that's what sent England out of Euro 96.
2 of the most seminal events in British history, only 1 year apart.
Yes. But now I'm worried that it wasn't Euro 96.
But regardless, let's say it's before Diana dies. David Beckham, Bend It Like Beckham, a film.
Sure.
Keira Knightley, who is Natalie Portman with an underbite.
It was the 1998 World Cup. It was the year after Diana died.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is, and you could say there was a Rube Goldberg chain of events. Diana, mowed down by the Queen, dressed as a dog because she loves landmines. 1 year later, David Beckham loses it, kicks a guy in the back. England's out of World Cup 98.
Who won World Cup 98? That's what I want to know. Because who benefits?
The first team.
Probably Germany, but I tell you.
Yeah.
World Cup 98. What is it? Okay, World Cup.
Yeah, 1998 is what you Google.
You're not going to believe what I've just discovered.
What?
Do you know who won the 1998 World Cup? France.
And where, may I ask, Johnson, did Princess Diana die?
France.
Shout out to everybody who's got a friend with a weird-smelling apartment. Whether it's black mold, a dog, or a cooking style from another country that you're unfamiliar with, the uncomfortable smell of a new place will make you want to leave it.
Shout out to Wayne Brady.
Shout out to Wayne Brady. Not only can he improvise and can he sing, but he can host the heck out of a CBS TV show.
Shout out to San Antonio Spurs, David Robinson from the 90s. You suck, man. You know Starks. You got nothing. Airball, you total tool. Come and get me. Yeah, I'm not afraid of David Robinson.
Shout out to David Robinson. So tall, he wanted to be a pilot. How's he going to fit in that plane? Stick his head out the top like he's in a cartoon.
Double shout out to David Robinson. You shoot like a turkey and you dribble like you suck. You know Starks and you know Ewing. If I was Spike Lee and could afford seats, my friend, I'd be up in your face. Double shout out David Robinson.
It's 21 years later now. No one's thinking about it. Like nobody's thinking. You've got there's no competition. There's no other journalists trying to figure out what happened. You're trampling a solo furrow.
I don't know.
It means there's nobody out there trying to get the story. It's only you two and
Thought
Lena.
And some British lady's like, oh, I'm knackered. I'm gonna have a nap, and you go, what the fuck is she talking about?
Yeah, I'm gonna go trample the furrow. Meaning, there's nobody's telling this story right now.
Yes. If you'd done this a year ago,
right,
you'd have found that there was like competition, like other people were like doing stories.
We saw some of those. You know, your Tiny Browns. Yeah, I mean, those are amateurs, though.
Your masterstroke was doing this 21 years later, and not 20 years later.
So what you're saying is there's really no reason we should be doing this podcast right now. It's not an even number. It's not an anniversary of her death.
But
we have no personal connection to the event. We really don't even have that strong of an interest in the story. There's nothing pertaining to what's happening culturally at this moment.
And we're losing interest as it goes on. We had a little in the beginning. But I will say stories ferment over time, and when you turn 21, you're allowed to drink.
What's interesting about doing this podcast about the life and death of Princess Diana is we set out to tell the story of this amazing fairy tale princess who befell a great tragedy and suffered the greatest loss of her life, which was her own. But in doing so, we've learned a lot about ourselves.
What have you learned?
That, she was a 10 and we were into her, and that we still are, even though she's dead these 21 years. I don't know about you, George, but I had the time of my life doing this podcast.
I did too, my friend.
And so to sign us off from the movie Dirty Dancing is a karaoke version of I've Had the Time of My Life. You are the listeners of podcast.
We count on you and all your downloads
to put us in the top 20.
We are nowhere near the top 20.
'Cause we don't know how to use the system.
We are not even in the browsing part.
Don't we know the podcast? If we sing the song, will you listen to more? If this is the first time, will you listen to more of this? I've had no more fun than doing this podcast with you, George St. Geegland.
And I passed out for a little bit. And I'm sorry, I just needed some sodium.
I love you so much, I would give you both my kidneys. I already did.
And I've got closer friends. You're not one of my 4 best friends. Those are all doo-wop guys.
Just remember, this is a podcast we did in our home.
So many blankets on the walls to minimize the sound outside. Because I made
the podcast of my life.
And I knew the whole time what it was. No, I did not. I spaced and got scared. I'm having more of these episodes every day.
Dementia, baby.
Like falling down an elevator shaft. I was really scared when we started to record, because I forgot who you were.
And I don't have control over the volume of my voice. Mike Myers.
I think I offended our guest when I started talking to him off mic, but on mic about women.
But we had so many hot takes that were warm breezes too.
And we were able to read a lot of that Danielle Steele book we own, because
we wrote this whole thing before.
This was not made up right on the spot. What is happening
now? We gotta write some more of this show.
Does anyone have any supplements? We take lots of supplements. Thank you all. Tune ahead.
Thank you guys for listening. We love you. You guys are the reason we do this.
And you guys, this podcast really helped me personally as a way to vent during a pretty dark time that's currently happening.
Yeah, and we're so grateful. Yeah.
I fucking hate the saxophone.
Tell people where they can find you.
You guys can find us online. Check us out wherever podcasts are sold.
Find us at geocities.com/fan page Michael Rappaport. That's my own flash page. You can get an email to contact us.
You can find me in the GNC bathroom mainlining protein powder.
Ask people to review you on iTunes.
Try to review us on iTunes. Give us 5 stars.
Or 1 star if you hated it.
Don't give us 1 star. Review us on iTunes. Review us on Audible.
Tweet about us and text about us and tell everybody about the show.
Text your wife about us. 'cause we have
the time of our lives.
and we knew what was happening the whole time. That's not true. I got spaced and got scared.
And I
am having a lot of these episodes. All right. Very scared about who's going to get us home. Hope you've got a ride.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. If you want to hear more of the Yo Hello podcast, check us out on the Yo Hello podcast and all the stuff. And then go and review us on the iTunes and so give it 5 stars.
There's also a small box ad about us in a church leaflet.
Thanks.
All right. That was good.
It felt really good. That was perfect.
We should have a segment called That Felt Really Good.
It felt good.
All right. Let's scratch these ears. That felt really good.